5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Here we go. Dak Prescott. Finally, a signature win from the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott likely cemented MVP last night. Lots going on. Good morning.
Are you still drunk from the weekend? What the heck are you talking about?
Listen, what I do on my weekend is my business. No, this was a big win, and I'm sorry for your Philadelphia Eagles, but the Dallas Cowboys are the headliner today.
Finally, a signature win.
Yes.
You understand this is a regular season. There is only one kind of signature win for where the Cowboys are right now, and that is at least an NFC title game win. And second of all, Dak Prescott has cemented the MVP in a season where the MVP changes every week.
Yeah, maybe.
Watch, Tyreek Hill's going to cement it tonight. So, honestly, the Cowboys, yes, this was a big win, but this is not the signature win they need because this team is good enough that you have to give them the Super Bowl contender label.
Okay. Well, they do have the Super Bowl contender label. Now, maybe everyone's playing for second place in the NFC because the San Francisco 49ers do win again, but let's just focus in on the Cowboys for a second. They have something that's going for them right now that they've never had before, which is a new type of confidence with Dak Prescott and this offense where they hit rock bottom with the 49ers loss. And what have they done since? Yes, they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, but you keep telling me that's a Dak awesome performance, even though they lost in week 5. Or what is it, week 8?
Yeah, it was.
Now they steamroll the Philadelphia Eagles in a game that didn't even feel close in the second half, despite the fact that, you know, it wasn't like an offensive, explosion in the second half, but never really felt close. This combination of defense with how Dak is playing, you got Kellen Moore the hell up out of there because he was great with putting up numbers, but this offense seems smarter than what it was with Kellen Moore. You got to give credit to Mike McCarthy as well.
Okay, I'll give you all that. But first of all, the offense is a bit one per player focus. It's kind of CeeDee Lamb and everybody else. Yeah. I mean,
they might still be a receiver short.
With a little Jake Ferguson. Those are the two guys that scare you. Yep. I mean, the Eagles, for some reason, absolutely refuse. We're not going to double cover CeeDee Lamb. You know, let's let him get another 191 receiving yards. I don't know what is going. The new Eagles defensive coordinator, get him out of there.
Yeah.
He's done.
Well, you guys hated the last guy, too.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Sean Desai experiment, over. But not doubling CeeDee Lamb was insane, considering your cornerbacks cannot cover him. I think we're forgetting. There was a lot of hype about the Cowboys 2 years ago coming into that Niners game that they lost at home.
Yep.
The one where Dak screwed up the end of the game. And then there was hype after they blew out the Bucs in the first round last year. So I don't think this is new, this regular season hype for the Cowboys. And I hate to be that guy because I think the Cowboys are an excellent team. But show me in the postseason.
Okay, let's just compare them to your Philadelphia Eagles, who you've said they look tired. Collinsworth agreed with you last night in Tirico. And tell me, which team is going one way and which team seems like they're going another way?
I have no problem with that. The Eagles are struggling. The young guys are hitting a rookie wall. There's no doubt about it. Jalen Carter looks exhausted.
Oh, he scored last night on the scoop and score. That was like Herm Edwards style.
Don't let the scoop and score fool you. Jalen Carter his season is over at Georgia right now. Him and Jordan Davis look tired. Yes, the Eagles right now are in a bit of a slump. I'll give you that. The Cowboys look better, but it's a long season, Maggie.
No, it is a long season, but we're kind of getting a little towards the end of it now. I mean,
it's a long season, darn it.
There's a lot of ball game left, but not that much. I mean, here's the thing about your Eagles. Where are they going to miraculously find all this rest? You don't have another bye week coming, and you're now in such a dogfight here because you have to win out to reclaim the top of the NFC East if you want that, which you should be gunning for. And you're not going to be able to rest anybody. You can't load manage your way through this one. Now, your schedule is easy, so maybe you steal a fourth quarter here or there, but I doubt it. And I think that the Dallas Cowboys, yes, definitely they are going to be judged by what happens in the postseason. However, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's being naive to pause on this game. Look at what they were able to do last night in their own building, how much of a home field advantage this has turned into in their home building, and just say, I appreciate what they do. I appreciate the way they play.
I would just warn Cowboys fans and everybody, do not act like last night meant anything. I'm being dead serious. Don't act like that was a Super Bowl because you beat that Eagles team. That is not your test.
Well, that Eagles team's not that good.
Your test, especially on the road in this particular condition, your test is coming against San Francisco, and you better be ready for it. I really believe that. And I think you can say, I'm seeing a lot of good signs. I'll give you all that. But really, this last night to me didn't say, oh, okay, the Cowboys have showed me that this year is different because, unfortunately, as the Cowboys are rising, so are the 49ers.
It's true. Twin 5-game winning streaks for both of these teams, and San Francisco owns every tiebreaker. Yeah. I mean, over Philly, over Dallas. Like, San Francisco has a couple tough games coming up, notably against the Baltimore Ravens, who won again yesterday in overtime, rain-soaked win. But, I mean, listen, I think the combination also, like, they went on and on about it in the broadcast, and you can read about it. Peter King wrote about it this morning, too. Like, Dak kind of really did remake himself from the ground up. Yeah. Like, his footwork was not where it needed to be. Everything, along with the West Coast offense, which is you're getting the ball out as soon as your back foot hits the ground on that 2-step, 3-step drop back, whatever. It's, like, added this new element. And their defense is amazing, too. Yeah. So, like, it's all kind of coming together, and their kicker can't miss.
He's amazing.
That's a
Brandon
wild
Aubrey,
story.
wow.
Dude is the first time in NFL history hit a 60-yarder. Someone hit a 60-yarder and a 59-yarder in the same game.
I have a rule with Dak Prescott. Don't believe the bad news and don't believe the good news. Okay. Just sort of treat him like a normal quarterback. Because he's a Cowboys quarterback, when he struggles a little bit, the sky is falling. Now that he's playing well, he is the surefire MVP. Maybe he's Dak Prescott, and he's always been a good quarterback and always will be a good quarterback, but he's yet to prove he's a great quarterback. Even if he wins the MVP this year, that doesn't mean anything to me until he does it in the postseason.
Wow, winning the MVP wouldn't do anything.
No, nothing. That's like the NBA. That's like giving the MVP to a guy who has no chance in the playoffs. Honestly.
Here we go. I'm telling you, here we go crap is working, man. All the pre-snap penalties are gone. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them are gone.
If he won the MVP and they went out in the second round of the playoffs, wouldn't that be a disaster for Dallas? Who cares if he wins the MVP? And this is a Joel Embiid fan in Philadelphia. That didn't mean anything after they lost in the second round of the playoffs. Trust me, I think it's almost downplaying the Cowboys to say that was the win we wanted last night, because this team better be focused on the Super Bowl. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
Let's hear from CeeDee Lamb, can we, Manny? Talking about Dak Prescott, he's rebounded from last season's struggles.
His approach, man. Obviously, I mean, we hear the noise that we were, what I'm saying, everybody was saying about him, but just continuing to be, himself. Obviously, last year wasn't, necessarily himself, and this year he's coming out revamped. So happy for him, continuing to work, and I've seen it happen. So just to see it unfold is amazing, man.
I mean, I think what CeeDee Lamb is probably talking about there is the interceptions, not himself, because Dak's never really been a high interception guy. Yeah. And then last year they really piled up.
He also broke his finger in week 1 and missed half the season.
Yeah, 5 games.
Yeah.
But listen, you want to take it for what it is, right? A post-game after a big win, everyone's hyped up on a Sunday night. But this has been a consistent theme you're hearing from the Cowboys about Dak Prescott. Let's hear from Micah Parsons, said this is a statement win for Dallas.
Yeah, I think everybody's been waiting for that statement win. We've been talking about statements, and we got this high-power offense that came in our stadium and how good we've been at home. We wanted to put a statement at home, especially how that game went last time. It could have went either way, 50-50. We forced 3 turnovers last time, but it just fell their way, so it's good for them to finally fall our way.
There you go. I mean, needed this win. I know you say it doesn't matter because it's regular season. We'd be feeling a lot worse about the Cowboys if they had lost last night.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like that was on the table. Honestly, how quickly did that game?
You did call it. You've said all week that the Eagles were going to lose this game.
The second they picked up that flag on the first touchdown, I'm like, oh, this is not going well. The Cowboys marched down the field, score a touchdown. They call a holding penalty, and they're just like, you know what? On second thought, we're not going to call that holding, and that was the death knell right there. It was over.
That was the death knell.
That Hurts, of course. Hurts has a fumble problem now. That's an issue. The defense just cannot. they can't stop anybody, Maggie. It's been drive after drive, touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Actually, coming away from last night, the one question about the Cowboys is they were unable to pour on the gas in the second half offensively. Maybe a little concern there. Because I wonder, when I look at even last night, they are one-dimensional in the sense that CeeDee Lamb is their super weapon. If you're the Niners and you take that away, do the Cowboys have enough of a run game, enough balance to actually go where they want to go?
It's a great question because they have Pollard, but beyond that, I know we love our guy Deuce Vaughn was not even active last night.
Rico Dowdle is a nice change of pace guy.
Yeah, but he's
Turpin
so
has some
small.
plays. Yeah.
Anyway, these are the drives for Dallas in the second half. So Eagles come out, they fumble on their first drive out of halftime, and the Cowboys go 3 and out. So not able to make them pay there. Then the fumble return for a touchdown, Jalen Carter. So then after, how do you respond? Field goal, field goal. Field goal. You're right. It's not like they weren't able to really, and some of those field goals were from the logo.
Which might be fine, by the way. Maybe they were just playing with a lead and protecting a lead. And listen, at least they were moving the ball and scoring field goals.
That's true. I mean, it really was, the only thing worse was Philadelphia's offense in the second half.
Game,
I mean, fumble, punt, turnover on downs, fumble, end of the game.
Never a game. That was the Phillies. It was not their night. They have to regroup and find some defensive answers that I don't know where they come from.
Well, maybe, Bryce Harper might want to switch his allegiances back to the Cowboys.
Can Bryce Harper play nickel corner if he can?
Can Bryce Harper get off my TV? How about that? I don't really need to see how Bryce Harper...
You Mets fans were so mad at that Bryce Harper promo.
It's not even Mets fans. I think just fans.
No. Nobody else cares as much about Bryce Harper and the Phillies. Most people are more neutral towards the Phillies. The hatred you feel towards the Phillies. So the promo Maggie's talking about, NBC had Bryce Harper sit down and explain why he switched allegiance from the Dallas Cowboys to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, because it's convenient.
Because
he's pandering to the home crowd. Even Jalen Hurts is like, listen, I'm still a Cow. He's still a
Astros fan.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not giving it up. That I appreciate.
He's the ultimate fraud. If he was a Kansas City Royal who switched allegiance to the Chiefs, you would not call him a fraud. You're saying that because you guys hate the Phillies.
No, I would definitely call him a fraud because I have different rules for fandom than you do.
No.
Like that it matters.
No. Okay, so it's not the Phillies aspect. It's not how much you hate to see me come in and gloat when the Phillies beat the Mets.
No, it's not about that. That I'm used to. that I can't. I understand. It's about the fraudulence of, listen, you can say I've learned to appreciate the Eagles after I've lived in this city now for a few years. You can say that, but to switch your allegiance?
First of all,
get out of here.
Any neutral fan who's a Cowboy fan in the first place who is not from Dallas is immediately showing their colors. So you can't call them a fraud. I would say 90% of the non-Dallas Cowboys fans are frauds to start with. That kid in the neighborhood, everyone's wearing an Eagles hat, and one kid shows up to school with a Cowboys hat. That kid's been a fraud since 5th grade. I'm talking about you, Greg Marks.
That kid is everyone west of the Mississippi.
No, well, yeah, but if you live in an NFL town and you're a Cowboys fan, you've already shown your propensity to be a fraud.
I know, but
that's nothing to do with him.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many states out there before, obviously, the Raiders move, but there's so many states that don't have a professional team, and a lot of those people are Cowboy fans. They're not frauds. They just didn't have anyone local to root for.
Right. So, of course, once they get to a local environment, it's not a surprise that they would switch to that team. I totally understand it. And you guys
Cowboys to Eagles.
Right.
Does anything mean anything anymore? Is nothing sacred? You're just going to switch from a team in the same division all the years, all the rivalry?
But of all the frauds in sports, you're calling Bryce Harper fraud for this? I mean, this is what you got on Bryce Harper?
No, it's just another thing.
At least the Eagles didn't win. If the Eagles won, oh my God, I'd be wearing my Phillies jerseys just to make you guys mad right now.
No, you'd say that nothing matters. I thought nothing matters here. Nothing ever matters. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio.
I've been rationalizing all week. I'm like, the Eagles are going to lose this game, and I'm gonna be okay with it. I'm gonna be okay with it. I'm gonna be okay with it. I am not okay with it.
Yeah, listen,
it's panic mode, USA.
Thank you. Finally, you should be panicking. Your team has lost their last 2 games by a combined 43 points. If you're not panicking now, this is like then you don't have a pulse.
Well, it was clear at the trade deadline they needed more defensive players, and they got the ghosts of Kevin Byard and Shaq Leonard. And I don't know what to do now. I don't know where the cavalry's coming from. It's a bad position when you're just hoping the other team gets some injuries.
Perloff's like, you never know what's going to happen with the 49ers. I'm like, man, that's a real loser.
I can't believe we're walking in today, and I actually think that the Bills might have a better chance to get the Super Bowl than my team. This is depressing. This is awful.
YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. we're Titan fan. We'll see the Titans tonight against Miami. The Eagles have been exposed and blown out by the real top NFC teams, and Perloff knows it. He's talking scared. He knows it's over. LOL. He's in major denial. I don't think you are in denial. I think you're facing it right now.
Well, okay. This is one season. Let's not talk like the Cowboys and the Niners have won a bunch of Super Bowls and the Eagles haven't. I'm telling you, yes, maybe right now those two teams have a big edge on the Eagles, but the Eagles are a very young team. They have Jalen Hurts. I'm not giving up on them.
Well, I'd hope you would give up on them, but they're taking on water. That's for sure.
I just worry. I've heard this Cowboys trash talk before. I heard a lot of it last year. I heard a ton of it the year before. Okay, we'll see. We'll see Mike McCarthy, Mr. Genius, that you guys are all relying on.
Well, as they did point out in the broadcast last night, when your field goal kicker nails a 60-yarder and then a 59-yarder, it does make you look a lot smarter as a head coach.
I know.
We will get into a lot, including Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Cry, 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 whine, whine, whine. They were on another level yesterday after the game, but did they have a point? We will get to that. Massive, massive game in that late afternoon window, but it was not even about the game afterwards. It was about one call that came down to one play, and then Mahomes and Reid cannot stop crying about it. 855-212-4CBS. So much to do. We'll get into Perloff's rough 48 hours this weekend.
It was a bad one for your boy here. This is things are not looking up right now.
You kind of look a little like the Eagles secondary right now. A little beat up. A little beat up. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
It's a visual.
It's one of many things going drastically wrong with my life right now. I'm perfectly healthy and fine, but things have been better.
Yeah, you really got hit with like a 1-2. You're on the canvas right now. We'll explain everything. Again, you want to watch the show. We say good morning to our CBS Sports Radio affiliates, of course, but if you'd like to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, at 855-212-4CBS. Dallas Cowboy calls. Welcome always. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Okay, it was a bad day for Philadelphia Eagles fans, and it was a bad day for all of our AFC teams because we all love Andy Reid, the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think congratulations to Maggie. Buffalo Bills back. They're back, baby.
I mean, back. They're still alive. I don't know if they're back, but they're still alive. While the Dallas and Philadelphia game was really devoid of any kind of controversy. I mean, Dallas won. They won handily and all of that. The Bills-Chiefs game was all about controversy. This is the game that was defined by controversy, and specifically a play late in the fourth quarter where Kadarius Toney, the wide receiver for the Chiefs that has been much maligned, he's had really high highs, like scoring in the Super Bowl last year, and very low lows, including yesterday where he is lined up in the neutral zone on a play that Patrick Mahomes saw the flag come out and assumed it was offsides on the defense. Threw the ball to Kelsey in the middle of the field. Kelsey makes a move, makes two defenders miss, as he always does, and then throws the ball back to Toney, who's streaking down the sideline and scores. The whole thing was nullified, though, because Toney was lined up in the neutral zone, and Mahomes was absolutely apoplectic on the sideline, screaming. Just looked like he was about to cry, quite frankly.
Yeah. I think he did cry.
I mean, he was just incensed. So let's hear from Mahomes. He says the refs stopped greatness when they threw that flag.
I mean, obviously tough to swallow. I mean, not only for me, but just for football in general. I mean, just to take away greatness like that. I mean, for a guy like Travis to make a play like that, and who knows if we win, but as I know as fans, you want to see the guys on the field decide the game.
Okay, so this wasn't just bad for the Chiefs, guys. Football, sports. This is bad.
America.
Yes, America, the world. Meanwhile, the referee who threw the flag threw it before the play ever developed and had no idea that this was wiping out one of the all-time great cool-looking touchdowns.
Right. So that's my first problem with Mahomes is saying, what if it was a incompletion, a 3-yard pass that hit the ground? Would Mahomes be saying they were robbing the sport of football?
Well, we know that this is not just about what happened yesterday. This is some baggage that is carried over now for the Chiefs because of the bad no call that happened at the end of the Packers game last week. So here's Mahomes saying this is now 2 weeks in a row where the refs are deciding a game.
Last week, I didn't say anything about the flag. They didn't get called on the Marquez. And so, I mean, they're human, man. They make mistakes. But, I mean, it's every week we're talking about something, and all I can do is go out there and give everything I have. And I'm proud of the guys because that's what we did. And it was a great football game that ended, another great football game that just ended like that. It's just tough to swallow.
Listen, I get it, right? And I get it for Patrick Mahomes. This is tough. And also, I would say to Patrick Mahomes, this is like welcome to what the rest of the league is like. You know, this is what happens. Like, you're not going to get every play. And here's the really, I mean, and listen, the Chiefs have had their bad plays before. The D Ford lining up in the neutral zone. We all remember that against Tom Brady when he was still playing for the Patriots. We get it. But like, I think the Chiefs are honestly, they should be frustrated themselves. I get being frustrated with the officials, and we can talk about whether or not they should have been warned, and we'll give you the pool report and all that stuff. But the real reason why Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid should be upset is because their wide receivers continue to let Mahomes down throughout this entire season.
It's a team-building thing. They decided we don't want to pay a wide receiver because we have Patrick Mahomes. He's getting $50 million a year, so we're going to let Tyreek Hill go. And now they don't want Kadarius Toney out there. They're forced to try and find talent on the margins at wide receiver. And, of course, it's going to cost them a game. It cost them the week one game, Kadarius Toney, and they benched him, and they should have kept him on the bench. If Kadarius Toney's actually playing in the playoffs, then the Chiefs are getting what they deserve. Because Rashee Rice has emerged as a star. Just throw it to that dude every time. I totally agree. You know, one thing that dawned on me, too, there was 12 people in the world who seemed to not realize that was going to be a flag on the offense. There was the 11 Chiefs and Tony Romo. Everybody else
Romo was didn't get it. See it.
It was very clear. The Bills defense was as still as a rock. There's no way that was offsides. Like, there wasn't even a flinch anywhere. How could that have been offsides? Do you think the Bills might have let up on defense a little bit because they knew the play? They must have seen the flag. Obviously, it was just weird to hear the call because Tony Romo was screaming as if the game had just changed and almost ignoring the fact that there was a flag that seemed like it kind of had to be on the offense.
Yeah, and Nance calls it out right when it happens, right? He says there's a flag on the field, then the play develops, then it's the wow play. But I think there's a question, too, about whether or not the referees have the, is it in their job description that they have to warn the wide receivers if they are lined up, or offensive linemen or whatever? Do they have to warn? Is it their job to warn a player, especially if the player looks over to check with them? Now, if the player looks over to check with them, which allegedly Tony did do. Looks over, but we don't know what the official said back. Did the official say, you're good? Did the official say, move back a little bit? Did Tony even wait for the response for the official? Or did he just do his lip service and, check with the official, but he's not looking at the official? Like, with Kadarius Toney, you have no idea. Did he see it and just ignore it? He doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. So, what Carl Cheffers, who was the crew chief, said after the game was essentially, and here's the quote, ultimately, they are responsible for wherever they line up. Certainly, no warning is required, especially if they are lined up so far off sides where they're actually blocking our view of the ball. So we would give them some sort of warning if it was anywhere close, but this particular one is beyond a warning. Boom. There it is. And the Chiefs, honestly, they should know better. This was just a knucklehead play by Kadarius Toney, and they have to live with it now, and I get that's hard. Yeah, no, I totally agree. But I do think that there is, the more I hear about this play from the NFL and from everybody else, Kadarius Toney is moving farther and farther away from the line of scrimmage. Now he's about 3 yards behind the Will linebacker on the Bills. It seems like, whatever. There's this image out of there where his tippy toes are on the blue line, and now the officials are saying he was 9 yards into the other team. So I do think there's a bit of a revisionist history here, and I generally do not side with the officials. The officials have one job here, and that is to make sure the Cowboys advance. So they can't screw it up by focusing on this one. I do think, listen, this is not in a vacuum. It might be us because we're paying such close attention, but officiating is really struggling. It is.
That's why I think even though last night the Chiefs deserved what they got, I do think the bigger picture is, oh man, the officials seem to be really struggling. The rule book's insane. Like, look at this rule. You're telling me the officials it's not quite clear if the officials are supposed to warn a player. The NFL has got to make things very clear. And I think that they keep on running into trouble because of the ambiguity of all these rules.
Listen, I would say last week was way worse.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You had other officials come out and say that was one of the most egregious no calls they've seen since 2018 Saints-Rams NFC Championship game, which, changed the rules. Totally egregious. Yep. MVS should have absolutely drawn that penalty and everything would have changed and probably, the Chiefs probably beat the Packers. But, for this one, I think they're calling that no matter who you are. Like, people love to have conspiracy theories. You're saying that, the referees just want to make sure the Cowboys advance. I get you're joking, but I think people really do think there's an agenda. And this one, though, gets called every time, doesn't it? I mean, maybe not every time, but it gets called, especially on the wide receivers.
11 times this season.
They called it on the tush push. Your Philadelphia Eagles tried it last night, and they called one of the offensive linemen in the neutral zone.
Yeah, which is clearly trying to send a message that the Eagles should not be doing the tush push. But it's been called 11 times this year, so it's not a lot. I mean, we've had a lot of games. It is a bit of a rare call. Once again, the officials are finding themselves in a mess because you're right. Because last week, they did not call pass interference, would have given the Chiefs the game. I will say one thing. The Chiefs scored 17 points at home. This is a Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
They lost this game. I don't even care about that call and that play.
Well,
they lost this game, and they are not playing good football.
Okay, so this was a 2nd and 10 at the Buffalo 49 with 1:12 left. So they get, obviously, not only is the touchdown nullified, but they get a 5-yard penalty. So now it's 2nd and 15 at the 46, incomplete, 3rd and 15, incomplete, 4th and 15, incomplete. I mean, you had 3 more chances to try to get 15 yards, and I think Mahomes was so out of his mind that they couldn't focus. And maybe Von Miller left a little early on that 3rd and 15. I'll give you that. But they could not get 15 yards. Now, this is the Kansas City Chiefs who feels like they get 15 yards in their sleep, including converting on some big 3rd downs yesterday.
Yeah, they were shut out through 29 minutes of football.
Yeah.
Like, who are these Chiefs? I don't even know this team.
It was 10 points in the second half. I mean, the Bills only had two field goals in the second half. It was a little, so it was much harder in the second half for both these teams.
And you know who the Chiefs missed? You could see Pacheco not out there. He's emerged as a really good.
Hilaire was not bad, though.
But still.
He just ran out of steam a little bit in the second half.
He's not furious at the ground like Isaiah Pacheco. Like, that's a difference maker for the Chiefs right now. They just feel like they're searching for answers, much like my Eagles. I'm not seeing a Super Bowl rematch. I mean, here's the thing. The AFC is wide open, but the Chiefs, the fact that they're whining this much about that call, to me, shows that there's bigger problems that they're worried about. If they really felt confident in this team, I think in past years, they would have been like, okay, they screwed that up, but we're going to come back and get them next week. I don't get that vibe at all.
Interesting. 855-212-4CBS. What do you make of the Chiefs protesting so much? Do they have a point, or do they come across as whiners? Andrew Bogish is here this morning with headlines.
Good morning, everybody. Those headlines sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Insurance, insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. So Perloff doesn't want Cowboy fans to overreact to beating his tired Eagles last night, but there was Jerry Jones postgame saying this was the biggest win to date from Mike McCarthy, the head coach, humble after the 33-13 home win in primetime.
A great job. The coaches did a great job, and we didn't miss a beat, and I think we demonstrated that tonight.
This is 5 straight wins overall for the Cowboys, 15 in a row at home. Dak Prescott, 2 touchdown passes. Brandon Aubrey, 4 field goals of at least 45 yards. The Eagle offense did not find the end zone and lost 3 fumbles. Time for Nick Sirianni.
Now we're going through some adversity, and so adversity can do a couple things to you. It can break you, or it can make you way better.
His team is still in the driver's seat, though, in the NFC East, even though they and Dallas now both 10-3. If Philly wins out, they get the division and the home game in round 1. If the Niners win out, they get the NFC's first round bye. San Francisco, a 28-16 home win over the Seahawks. Brock Purdy threw for 368 and 2 scores. And then there was Vikings-Raiders, scoreless for 58 minutes and 3 seconds. And then, finally, Greg Joseph kicked a 36-yard field goal for the only point of the game. Minnesota wins, the lowest scoring game in 16 years. Apologies from Raiders interim head coach Antonio Pierce.
Poor coaching, poor performance by the players. Starts with myself.
Yeah, his offense managed just 201 yards and 9 first downs. The Vikings replaced Josh Dobbs with Nick Mullins in the fourth. He led that field goal drive. They also had Justin Jefferson back from his hamstring injury until he suffered a chest injury on a big hit on a jumping catch. Had to go to the hospital to be checked out.
Man, weren't we all rooting for 0-0?
And it started with Jets-Texans, got to 0-0 halftime, and that began the whole, there's been this, it hasn't been since 1943 was the last time it was a scoreless game. That's what I read yesterday.
The first time that two teams went into halftime 0-0 since 1988 or 89.
That sounds right. But we were on like a 0-0 kick from like 2 o'clock on yesterday.
But here's the thing. At least that Jets-Texans game, first of all, includes the Jets, so no one would ever be that surprised. But also, it was outside. It's been raining here in this area for like 2.5 days. So that
game went over.
The Raiders game was inside.
Yeah, the Jets. That was a second half explosion by Zach Wilson. And the Jets.
Zach Wilson looked amazing.
I was watching a lot of that Vikings Raiders game, and I thought at some point they were going to figure it out. It was going to end up being 17-14, but they never figured it out.
So what was funny about that game, so obviously it was going on the same time as the Bills-Chiefs game. So I had all the games on. Like at one point I look up at my screen and on one side it's Phillip Rivers being interviewed and the other side it's like 2 rugby players. I'm like, what is going on today? But I was obviously a little bit more focused on Bills-Chiefs. You forgive me. But every time I looked up, they kept playing that same replay of the missed field goal. And it kept tricking me. I'm like, oh my gosh, another one pushed to the right. It's like, no, Maggie, you idiot. They just keep replaying the only scoring chances of the 0-0.
The only highlight in that slot fest that happened.
Like, how many is this guy pushed to the right? Cut him.
I don't even think it was a slugfest. It was more of an incompetent fest.
They couldn't get to over midfield.
Oh, boy. I don't know why Aiden O'Connell's the quarterback for the Raiders. I'm sorry.
We said that at the time. It's like, of course, Jimmy G's better, but you just can't go to him.
And I'm sorry, since I'm in New York, I just have to say, remember when Josh Dobbs should have saved the Jets at the trade deadline?
Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
Listen,
Still it took him.
Vikings defense, not a joke.
I don't know.
No, you got to give Brian Flores some credit. He's doing a good job there.
No, he's really good. But still, I came out of that game as the Raiders are a joke, so it's kind of hard to say.
They are.
Not sure if you guys noticed, but the NBA had yesterday off, still basking in the glow of Saturday night's in-season tourney conclusion. We'll all remember the Lakers beating the Pacers. LeBron certainly will not forget.
It's something like records will be broken, but one thing that will never be broken is be the first to do something. And we're the first champions of the in-season tournament, and nobody can ever top that.
Yeah, Maggie, you were right. Last week you said LeBron's going to take heat for winning this thing, and I've seen nothing but criticism.
I'm telling you, if Michael Jordan gave that exact same speech, people would be like, "We love him. What a trailblazer that guy is."
Not 3, not 4.
Well, I mean, I think the point is Michael Jordan would never give that speech. I think that's what we all know.
But if he did, everyone would be falling over themselves.
He would give the speech. It would just be 20 years later at a Hall of Fame or some kind of other ceremony.
No. He'd add 10 more parts to the documentary just about this.
No, he would be more focused on the team that he beat. He's like, everyone thought Tyrese Halliburton was the new face of the NBA, and I showed him, that jerk.
And I want my damn respect, too.
LeBron did have a better Sunday watching Bronny make his USC debut. Roughly 5 months after going into cardiac arrest at a practice, Bronny 4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals in 17 minutes in an 84-79 OT loss to Long Beach State. On ice, the Golden Knights fought off the Sharks 5-4 in a shootout. Vegas has won 5-6. They lead the league with 43 points. And the Indiana Fever won the WNBA draft lottery for the second straight year. Last time they went with Aaliyah Boston, then she was named Rookie of the Year. Caitlin Clark is the assumed number 1 pick this time, but she could still return to Iowa for one more season. Guys, back to you.
Andrew Bogish, thank you so much with those headlines. We see you guys on the phones. We want to hear from you because here's the thing about the Chiefs play and this controversial play where Kadarius Toney gets called for lining up offsides and what wiped out, which was a really amazing touchdown that ended up having Kelsey throw back to Toney where he scores. I'm kind of someone who's like loves a neighborhood play. right? Like, I don't want the greatness to be taken away on a technicality. I don't want the greatness to be taken away because someone's pinky toe was out of bounds or because somebody's big toe was lined up in the neutral zone. It's just the fact that the Chiefs don't want to own up to this. Like, they had nothing to do with it. Like, they didn't do anything wrong. See, that's where you lose me. Technically, he was in the wrong. So why would they expect to get any treatment that's different from anyone else? Last week, where they had the no call in the Packer game against MVS, that you got to be incensed about.
Yeah.
Because your player did everything right and you just didn't get the call. This week, your player did everything wrong. Why do you expect the NFL to clean up your mess?
Especially when that player is Kadarius Toney, when the second, everybody, I think there's not a single non-Chiefs fan who doesn't think that was the right penalty.
Let's be real. I mean, the Chiefs, though, they've been getting very beneficial whistle from the refs for the last several years. And I think some of this backlash that you saw yesterday was from the fact that they got hosed last week and they got hosed this week. And they're not used to getting the benefit of those calls. I mean, to me, they felt like the New Age Patriots. We couldn't touch Mahomes. It seemed like they don't call holding on anybody but players against the Chiefs. Like, it was ridiculous. The Jets lost a game earlier this season on a phantom illegal contact call. I didn't hear Pat Mahomes saying, they stopped Sauce Gardner's greatness. Like, it's only when his team gets screwed all of a sudden he's like, they're stopping greatness. I mean, give me a break. This was a bad moment from him.
I mean, didn't we begin the year with their right tackle backing off the line?
Every
time?
Yeah.
That's cool. No worries.
They've literally thrown 7,000 flags against that dude.
Well,
because it was so bad the first time.
Yeah. 855-212-4CBS. There's some more underlying things going on with the Chiefs. We'll get to all that. Want to hear from you. See you guys on the phones. Let's do it. 855-212-4CBS. You are up next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You can stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Kansas City fans are mad. I think both you and I agree they do not necessarily have the right to be, because it was a penalty. This is my opinion anyway. It definitely was a penalty.
Kadarius Toney
was offsides. And I understand the timing wasn't great, but if it was an incomplete pass, there's no way in a million years we'd be talking about it. So don't play the result here. If it was a penalty, it's a penalty.
Well, also, if they're going to give you a warning, it's more likely to happen in the beginning of the game or early on. The refs aren't going to bail you out with a warning with a minute 12 left to go when you're driving in a potential game-winning drive. That's not when they bail you out. They tell you early on. It's kind of like warning both benches in baseball, early in the game. Like early in the game, you tell them, like, hey, you look over at me. If you're getting a little too close, that we're going to call it. Not with a minute left. I mean, Mahomes is saying you can't make that call with a minute left. I think that's the time you make that call, especially when it's egregious, which Carl Sheffer said it was egregious. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Bob's in Cleveland. Hey, Bob, good morning.
Good morning. Go Browns.
There you go. How about Joe Flacco?
I know. He's resurgence. 38 years old.
What act is this? This is like Act 5 for Joe Flacco. This isn't even a second act.
You know what? Hopefully this is the best one. I don't know if he could top his Baltimore days.
That might be hard.
I'll take anything close.
Yeah. How about that?
Well, I look at it this way. The knife cuts both ways. How many times those of us that watch, our favorite team, have we seen a defensive player line up with his helmet over the ball or in the neutral zone,
Yep.
and it's called? And, I don't know how many times it's been a good – or, teams are given a first down because they line up in the neutral zone, which keeps the drive alive, and they go down the field. So, I mean, it happens not just on the offense with a minute 12 to go. It happens throughout games. I don't know every Sunday, but it happens quite a bit. I mean, we all see it.
Bob, you're right. And the refs were totally within their right to call this. And I think the Chiefs are just mad at themselves. Like, they're taking it out on the referees, but deep down they have to know they were in the wrong here. You gave the referees like an obvious one.
Well, I do agree with the Chiefs. Last week was egregious. That's a different circumstance. They should have called that one. That was a missed pass interference call that cost them the game. Although there was two ridiculous calls against the Packers on that same drive that set up that pass interference. So the officials in general, they're taking on water this year, Maggie. It might be us, but they are bad.
No, it's been bad. Pete is in Erie, Pennsylvania. Hey, Pete.
Hey, it's Maggie and Perloff. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good. Look, I mean, the reason why the Chiefs lost the game, they didn't score enough points. You can't expect what they normally average throughout the years, 30, high 20s, low 30s, and they're averaging barely 20 points a game. They need to score some more points, and I think they're just mad because they can't figure out their offensive woes. Have a great day, guys.
Pete, thank you.
Buddy.
Same to you, dude. Well, here's where they can start, which is Kadarius Toney cost him yesterday. He also cost him week 1 with the multiple drops against the Detroit Lions when Kelsey wasn't in the game. You had a Sky Moore dropped an absolutely perfect pass from Mahomes on a 4th and 2 in the loss against the Denver Broncos. Same game, MVS has a bad fumble. MVS dropped a potential game-winning touchdown in the final minutes when the Chiefs played your Philadelphia Eagles, Perloff. And that was the difference in the game. And against the Packers, that was the bad call. Okay. But you also had Richie James fell down on running a route, which should have been a clear Mahomes connection where maybe they could have kept a drive alive. So you want to find out what's wrong with the Chiefs. I just gave you 4 games there.
I agree with all that. I also think yesterday, they didn't have the urgency that the Bills did. They did not come out of that stadium on fire. In my opinion, felt like they were asleep until halftime.
Well, Josh Allen, of course, has to throw his signature interception, which he did before half.
Kept the Chiefs in the game, thank you.
Which absolutely led to their first touchdown.
Yeah, it was similar to the Eagles game. Similar to the Bills-Eagles game where Josh Allen made one mistake that kind of almost cost the Bills the game. But whatever the Chiefs were doing in the second half, where was that all game? It's interesting how their offense is inconsistent. We know it is so good. Now, the truth is the AFC is a bit of a mix-up right now. It's a mess. So the Chiefs are not out of it by any means. But this is not last year's version of the Chiefs.
Oh, the Denver Broncos are 1 game back in the AFC West. Let that sink in for a second. A team that started 1-5 is now just 1 game behind the Kansas City Chiefs. Sean in Oregon is our pal, wants to talk about the in-season tournament. Sean, what's up?
Well, I want to talk about that, but the main thing is the seriousness of this Cowboys game. This shouldn't be belittled. This was Philly's big chance to separate themselves from the Cowboys, and instead they got to learn about how they do things down in Texas.
How about that?
And this is the 8th game that the Cowboys have won by over 20 points. And the league record's only 10 games. This offense is clicking, and Mike McCarthy is going to prove Perloff wrong. He's going to win the Super Bowl.
Really?
And
Sean
when
talking
you
tough.
talk about LBJ, you guys, I like to call it defend others. I'm always a defender of others, and I shouldn't have to defend LBJ. When he talks, he's not Michael Jordan. Like LBJ is like a world leader. He's a community and our leader. He's a leader in our community.
Yeah.
And I think he's just a way different cat, way different dude than Michael Jordan.
Definitely.
I look at him as he's a real mentor. He's somebody who you can look up to actually a lot more than Michael Jordan. And he might not be the most humble guy, but everybody's a little bit different.
Well, Sean, I think there's a big difference between Jordan and LeBron. There's many differences. And Sean, thank you for the phone call and talking a little trash to Perloff. To be fair to Sean, most of the things he says have actually panned out.
Yeah, no, that made me nervous when Sean said that.
Sean has won a couple bets against us around here. We still owe him our signed headshot. We'll do that after the show. But anyway, one of the biggest things I think about LeBron and Jordan is the exposure. EJ, what's the famous comic book line with Batman? You live long enough, you'll find yourself as a villain?
Yeah, it's you die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain.
Okay, so not as serious as what's going on, but LeBron has been around for so long. He's been so overexposed. He's been so out there. It's like live long enough to watch yourself become a punchline or a meme or whatever.
Become a caricature of yourself.
Yes.
Well, the thing about it, I think the difference between LeBron and MJ in this particular thing, LeBron is close. He's one of us. LeBron is insecure in ways that we see. The guy sits on his couch and analyzes football games. He wants credit for doing this. He's kind of he's more human, whereas MJ was just aloof and different.
Or maybe LeBron wants to give you that sort of everyman, that's what he wants you to see. Because I doubt that he really is like you and me.
Yeah, I think some of that's
EJ and Manny.
Yeah, honestly, some of that's a marketing thing.
I think it's a little calculated.
Are you kidding me?
Or it's easier for him to live that live that existence in the public eye.
I don't know. I really relate to LeBron more than anybody on Twitter. He's a sports dad.
But because there's Twitter, there was no Twitter with Michael Jordan.
He
there was
tweets
no
it. I was like,
Facebook.
oh, I was going to say that same thing. Where Jordan was I think you're right. It is the
Mystery.
expression. You had no idea what was going through Michael Jordan's head. We definitely know what's going on in LeBron's head because he tells us.
No, he was in Atlantic City gambling all night before playoff games, and the legend grew. Okay, lots more to do, including another reason why the Chiefs are getting no sympathy this morning.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, the Kansas City Chiefs probably still complaining somewhere. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It's Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Cry, cry, whine, whine. The Chiefs would not let it go yesterday, Perloff, after the game. Very controversial call. So it's not like they had nothing to complain about, but it's going to fall on deaf ears for a lot of reasons. It was a Kadarius Toney lined up in the neutral zone. He was offsides on a play with 1:12 left to go in the game, one-score game, that negated what was a really cool-looking touchdown. Travis Kelce in the middle of the field, shakes two defenders, throws it back to Toney, streaking down the sideline, and it gets wiped out. But they really just don't have anything to stand on here because the flag was thrown right as Mahomes is snapping the ball.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that controversial a call. I understand it. That's why it was so weird to me to see Patrick Mahomes going ballistic after the game. First of all, it's not in his character to normally do that, but that's the call you're going ballistic over. I understand there was something happened last week, and there were a lot of calls this season, but that's not a controversial call. That's Kadarius Toney. The officials just said, look at Kadarius Toney. You think he did the right thing here? Because he's never done the right thing for the Chiefs.
Let's hear what it sounded like in real time.
Kelce, 25, angling back, 20. Now he's going to lateral it back at the 15-yard line. It's Toney, 10, 5, touchdown, Kansas City. They mess around in practice with this all the time. It's going to go with a 49-yard touchdown. Kelce, the old University of Cincinnati quarterback.
Offside, number 19, offense, lined up in the neutral zone, 5-yard penalty, second down.
And here was more of the explanation.
One of the most exciting plays. A TD is wiped off the board and a 5-yard penalty. 2nd and 15 for the Chiefs at their own 46. It would have gone as a 49-yard touchdown catch and lateral.
Oh, man, sad dude.
I get it, but how many? There are other plays that get wiped out in the NFL, feels like every week, that are amazing plays. But by the letter of the law, a guy's foot's out of bounds or something on the sideline or something, they get wiped out just because it was an all-time great play, which, by the way, the official threw the flag long before any of this ever unfolded. Like, this happens in the NFL. Tell your guy not to line up offside.
Also, how did that broadcaster not see the flag? Like, you got to tone your call down by 30% with a flag on the field. And I don't know, Eddie, it was very obvious the Bills did not jump. They didn't move until about a second after the snap. So you should have seen something was up. You're right. There's always a call in the NFL. Every time I see a guy score a touchdown, what's your first instinct? Look around for the flag.
Absolutely.
I have so many images in my head of a guy celebrating, then stopping his celebration midway because they're like, they called holding.
Yeah.
To me, the most common one is holding. They call holding and it wipes off a big touchdown, and all the fans hate it. I hate it. But the reality is you're playing the result here. If it was an incomplete pass, we wouldn't even be talking about this today.
Yeah. Let's hear from Andy Reid. He said the end of the game was disappointing.
Very disappointed that it ended the way it did, and normally I'll get I never use any of this as excuses, but normally I get a warning before something like that happens in a big game. A bit embarrassing in the National Football League for that to take place.
Well, maybe embarrassing that your guy was lined up offsides. How about that? Because here's the thing. The refs will give you, like, you can You can look at them on the side. You can try to check with them, to see where the line of scrimmage is and all that stuff. But as the pool report said yesterday, when it's egregious, the refs don't have, it's not their job to bail you out when you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that whole warning system seems really stupid. But I have a theory on why Andy Reid said that. I think he understood that his quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, had somewhat embarrassed himself by overreacting to the bad call. And Andy Reid is the ultimate players coach. I think he was trying to take some heat off of Mahomes because that is not characteristic of Andy Reid to flip out about a call. And his language was very similar to Mahomes. I guess Reid went before Mahomes, but I think that Reid, is it possible in your mind that Reid was trying to deflect from Patrick Mahomes? Because Mahomes was bad after the game. He was wanting to fight the official, it felt like.
I mean, listen, he's backing up his guy totally, and I think that it's a frustration that's bleeding over from the Packer game from the week before with the no call on MVS at the end of the game, and they're sick of it. And that I get, but this one, you only have yourself to blame. And this one, I think you're seeing, and I know last year it didn't happen because they didn't have Tyreek Hill, and they were still able to win the Super Bowl, and it was of course they could move on without Tyreek Hill. Well, now you're kind of seeing that they do either seem to be A, receiver short, B, not able to get to Kelsey as much as they want to in the second half of games, or maybe they just have to start targeting different guys. I have no idea, but it feels like they're a receiver short.
Yeah, definitely. It does, at moments it feels like it's working like it usually does. I really love Rashee Rice. I feel like he's the emerging star, the rookie out of SMU. And Kelsey has moments.
Definitely.
So there is
How's
definitely.
How's he still so open after all these years at times?
Even with the struggling, no one's counting out these Chiefs. That would be silly. The defense is a little better than usual in the sense that if you're counting them out, then who's going to beat them? That's the question. It's not obvious.
Okay, so here's the big thing why yesterday I understand why the Chiefs are ticked off, but they only have themselves to blame. But they whine. They're whining. Loser energy, as we say around here. Very loser energy for a team that's basically the closest we have to a dynasty right now in the NFL. Very loser energy, and we can get into why in a little bit. But
I don't sign off on that. I can't call the Chiefs loser energy because they are the dynasty right now, the best team out there until someone knocks them off. So I understand this particular, maybe in the micro, there's some loser energy. But you can't say in general the Chiefs have loser energy.
No, but there is something where I think the Chiefs are, maybe they didn't realize it before and they're finding out now. Nobody likes the Chiefs.
Oh, I disagree.
Unless you are in Kansas City, nobody likes the Chiefs. You might like Mahomes, okay, that's fine. You might like Kelsey, that's fine. You might like Chris Jones, that's fine. And people in Philadelphia love Andy Reid. It's nobody likes the Chiefs. And I'm going to tell you why. One, haters. Yeah, people like me. Haterade. You've been too good for too long. The success definitely breeds contempt. You've been at the top of the mountain. So yes, call me a hater. I don't care. But people don't like you because you've had so much success. Point number 2, the overexposure. I can't watch TV. I can't turn on a radio. Maybe I'm part of the problem. I can't do anything without seeing a Kelsey brother. I can't do it. Donna Kelsey gets the third most airtime on TV beyond Travis and Jason and then Donna. Donna gets more airtime than Taylor freaking Swift, which is crazy. And that brings me to number 3. Swift, Brittany Mahomes, enough. We've had enough with the Chiefs, all of you. Mahomes is an all-time great. We appreciate him so much, the greatness, all of that. They're too good. They're overexposed. And the Taylor Swift, Brittany Mahomes thing is just freaking annoying at this point. Nobody outside of Kansas City likes the Chiefs.
That's 100% not true. And actually, when Maggie's saying all those things, make sure I'm edited out of the 2-shot because I completely do not endorse that. No, first of all, people don't care about the Chiefs as much as you just said. People hate the Cowboys and people love the Cowboys. I think there's more apathy towards the Chiefs than you'd imagine. But they're like the Golden State Warriors. Yes, they can be a little annoying, but hate the Chiefs? There's not a lot to grab onto there. I don't think they're one of the top 5 most hated teams in the league.
They're more overexposed than Dallas Cowboys.
No,
Travis Kelce
has
14 more commercials than Dak Prescott.
Not really. Dak Prescott has 100 commercials too, and he's not even won a Super Bowl. Yeah, I do not think that the Chiefs are not getting that kind of hatred out there. I mean, no way.
I think you're off on this, Pearl.
Beg to differ, dude.
What I will say is I think something, and I'm surprised you're not mentioning it, Andrew, like I thought the tide kind of really shifted completely with that penalty in the Super Bowl. I think a lot of people saw that Super Bowl and saw them win and say,
the James Bradbury?
Yeah, I think it's like, this is a soft penalty. How are you going to call that? And again, we talk about the Chiefs always getting calls. I think that any kind of, they're the darlings of the league, that all ended when they got that phantom pass interference call.
Totally disagree with you guys. I still think they're wildly likable. Mahomes is probably the most likable person in all of sports. What is it not like about Patrick Mahomes?
No, Mahomes is likable, but he's whining after the game like he's expecting the officials to bail them out when his guy is lined up wrong. Like
One time he did this. This is the first time he's ever done that in his career.
I know. Well, we're getting to see the
And
real
all of a sudden,
now.
everyone hates the Chiefs because of this one game? That's insane.
No. It's been building, as I said. First of all, and first and foremost, it's actually a compliment because when you have this much success, people are going to start to resent you or whatever. So for them, good for you. Top of the mountain, awesome. But I'm telling you, it is turned. Maybe people like Mahomes, but
You just said everybody hates the Chiefs.
they do outside of Kansas City.
No way. Honestly, I don't think a lot of fans are even thinking about the Chiefs like that.
You like Brittany Mahomes? You like Jackson Mahomes? You like all this Taylor Swift stuff?
Don't care. Don't care at all. No. I like, honestly, that stuff is annoying, but there's nothing about Taylor Swift. First of all, they went up to the booth yesterday to show her, and she wasn't even there. And they're having trouble finding her in the booth because it's so crowded. Regardless, no, I don't think the Chiefs create that kind of antagonism out there. I disagree with you guys. I'd be surprised. You think they're the most hated team in the league? The Kansas City Chiefs? They're like the nice guys of the NFL.
I said nobody likes them outside of Kansas City. I don't know if they're the most hated.
I don't know. You kind of
nobody likes them.
That's impossible. I would bet you if you're a 10-year-old fan and you don't have a team that you love right now, you're probably buying a Patrick Mahomes jersey.
Is there an AFC NFC bias in here right now?
It feels like this might be
because
I don't Jets fan.
I don't hate.
Yeah,
I don't have anything against the Chiefs.
Oh,
I'm a Jets fan. Why would I hate the Chiefs?
I have no idea because Jets fans hate everybody.
Hate themselves.
Yeah, no, I hate more of my quarterback and my coaches than anything the Chiefs have.
I'm telling you, people back me up on this. It's got to be a poll question. I think that the Chiefs have jumped the shark here. It's so much, guys. It's so much. It's too much.
I got to tell you right now, if the Chiefs aren't in the Super Bowl, it gets a little more boring because they are still the Chiefs. They're still really exciting.
Oh, I don't think so. That's a Mahomes thing. I don't know if that's a Chiefs thing.
Wow.
Mahomes is the best quarterback we have right now.
Yeah,
no one's taking
that away from him.
Don't
you want to see a magician play quarterback?
I do. I'm just thinking, I can appreciate the Chiefs and how much they win, and I can also find them wildly annoying.
They're
not overrated. I never said that. I said they're annoying.
Annoying implies that they've been like this forever. There's one game where they go ballistic on the officials. All of a sudden, they're the most hated team in sports.
It's been building.
Not this officials thing. I thought they were quite restrained last week.
The contempt. The contempt has been building.
You guys might hate the Chiefs. I think a lot of fans out there still like this team.
855-212-4CBS. Who's going to back me up on this? Who's coming with me?
I'm on the bandwagon.
EJ, I got one. Manny, you're dead to me.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of people.
Manny, you're a Giants fan. Who do you hate the most? That's an easy question.
Myself.
And then what's the one other team?
Oh, damn.
If it's not the Dallas Cowboys.
Let me tell you something. You guys have been annoying the hell out of me for the past 2 years.
Well, this is at least at times you've been able to beat the Eagles in somewhat recent history. You never beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, but I enjoy the Cowboys' misery when it comes to, January and about that period. The Eagles have been pretty good in that time span, and living with an Eagles fan, it just never ends, Maggie.
Well, the other thing, too, the Chiefs.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The Chiefs are following the Patriots dynasty, and the Patriots are they're the San Antonio Spurs of the NFL. They were the most unlikable dynasty that ever was. So the Chiefs are a ray of sunshine on the dynasty front. I mean, you got to give me that. You can't possibly dislike the Chiefs more than you dislike the Patriots back in the day.
No, I mean, that the Patriots were cheating. There was a lot more baggage going on with the Patriots. 855-212-4CBS. Our pal Big Dave's in Kentucky, a happy Cowboy fan this morning calling to gloat. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
It's a great day to be alive, and I'm 100% on board with you, Mags, on this Chiefs thing.
Thank you.
I mean, listen, Andy Reid hasn't suffered this much adversity since he left Philadelphia. But seriously, folks, I mean, what are they complaining about. Let me tell you, the problem is the frustration is starting to set in because they're looking down the barrel of having to play a playoff game at somewhere beside Burrowhead Stadium.
Yes.
And I think the walls are caving in. They've turned into the Kardashians of the National Football League.
Meanwhile, Odell Beckham might actually be dating a Kardashian. It doesn't get half of the clicks as Donna Kelsey, let alone Taylor.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the Kardashians are not Taylor Swift right now. They used to be. But anyway.
My point being made.
How you doing, McLovin?
I'm good.
He's not. He's lying.
Why?
He's bad.
Oh, is this a Cowboys gloating call? Okay. That's funny.
Of course it is.
Let's talk the day after they play the Niners in the playoffs, Dave, because you really sound like you're feeling yourself right now.
You're going back in time?
No, I'm going forward in time to January 17th in the second round of the playoffs when the Cowboys and the Niners play again. Because you sound awfully confident. Are you guaranteeing a win there?
No, I've got a plan for that. The only way I guarantee a win, I'm going to suggest going forward that Mike McCarthy have some non-essential organ removed on the week prior to the second round of the playoffs. I'm not a gloater, McLovin. You should know me well enough to know I'm not you. I don't hedge my bet like that the Cowboys are guaranteeing a Super Bowl appearance because you said 3 weeks ago that the Eagles were running a bland offense not to show anything. So they clearly load managed
last night. But by the way, Dave, so I'm just curious, what's the ring like for that regular season win over the Cowboys? Is it like a little toned down from a Super Bowl ring, or is it a full ring? Are you going to buy a replica?
That's pretty funny, McLevin. So listen, seriously, how this is not a gloating call. This is analytical. I'm an analytical dude. You know that.
Yeah.
So let me hear. Rate your Eagles' performance last night. Seriously.
Eagles' defense is terrible. I knew they were going to get killed. Almost all Eagles fans knew that. It was exactly what we expected. Dak Prescott tore them apart like he always does.
Yeah. So does this change the Dak narrative?
No, because Dak tore them apart last year and the year before that.
No, I'm not saying you've always falsely propped him up.
Yeah, he's the same good quarterback he's always been.
Dave,
right.
I would say for everyone else, it does feel a lot different, and it's the ground-up stuff, like change the footwork, change the offense a bit, the confidence he's playing with. He got the great defense now to complement it.
Dave, help us out here, because Dak is the most overrated, underrated on a weekly basis quarterback of all time. You see the same quarterback, right?
The same quarterback as what?
As 2 years ago, as 3 years ago, as 4 years ago.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't see the same quarterback. For one thing, Mike McCarthy has grown up into a real head coach. Play calling last night was off the chain. I thought it was excellent. Dak is not the same quarterback. Going to this West Coast offense has been a huge turning point for Dak. I'm telling you this. It's been huge. Matter of fact, he even talks about it. McLevin, I'm not just trying to argue, but no, he is not the same quarterback that he was 2 years ago. I totally disagree with that.
Listen, I love a happy Big Dave on a Monday. Dave, thanks so much. Have a great week. 855-212-4CBS. Want to know, do you see anything different with Dak Prescott? But we're also asking you, are the Chiefs likable? I think they are not a likable team. The success, the overexposure, spare me. Michael is in Ohio. Okay, Michael, I'm told you're a 7th grade teacher. So
yes,
you have your
ma'am.
finger on the pulse of what young people think about the Chiefs right now. Tell us what we got.
Yes, ma'am, and I will tell you they 100% follow who's winning. I have, in my homeroom, I laughed last week, there were 7 kids, we had hat day, 7 kids wearing Chiefs hats in the middle of Ohio.
Wait a minute, Michael, I hope you are nowhere near Cincinnati.
No, we're by Cleveland,
okay.
So I have a lot of pain every week. So This week was good, though.
Yeah, no, you got Flacco now. Everything's going to be fine.
I tell you what, there is a difference there.
But, Michael, when the Patriots were winning, were they wearing Patriots hats?
Patriots hats, Green Bay, because they are so close to the Browns, they have to pick a second team that they can actually cheer for more.
Fair.
And they are the biggest front runners, and the DeBartlos are from here, so we have a lot of Niners fans as well.
Interesting. Well, Michael, thank you for that and clearing that up. When you're in 7th grade, you're much like Perloff now. You just follow the winners.
I knew that as a fact. All kids pick the winners. That's what you do, and there's no reason. If you're a kid, you're not following the subtleties of the Kadarius Toney penalty last night. You just see a commercial where Patrick Mahomes is slinging the rock.
I'm telling you, for the adults out there, a little too much. Am I right? 855-212-4CBS. See you guys on the phones. If some people are with me, some people are not with me. So I like this about the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes crying and whining. He's above that.
Oh, my God, you guys.
He's above that.
Oh, you know what?
This is beneath him.
You cannot get back on the Mahomes bandwagon again. You're banned.
You know what really?
So are you, EJ.
No, sorry, but you know what really took me off was him going up to Josh Allen on the handshake line and complaining about the refs. And you know how many times that Josh Allen took heartbreaking losses to the Kansas City Chiefs? I know those guys are supposed to be good buddies, and he said there, said, "Hey, congrats, good game," and went into the locker room. Finally,
that's because Josh Allen's a class act.
Yeah, finally you actually lose, and you go up to being like, "Oh, these effing refs and these terrible calls." I mean, come on, man, that was corny. You don't do that to the opponent. Shake his hand and then go after the refs.
You know what's the worst? It's not the Chiefs. It's AFC East fans. They seem to have this really bizarre take on football. Both of you guys. Like, that's the problem with last night's game is that he didn't give Josh Allen love after 27. Josh Allen won the game. That's all he needs. Who cares what Mahomes says?
You got to be a good winner and a good loser.
Exactly. That's supposed to be his homie, and he's complaining about the. If I beat you in the game, I don't want to hear about the rest when I'm shaking your hand.
You guys can never celebrate Patrick Mahomes again. You're not allowed.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. After that controversial play, 3 straight incompletions. It was 2nd and 15, 3rd and 15, 4th and 13. 4th and 15. You had the Chiefs get 15 yards in their sleep. So ultimately, you had time, you had downs, you had timeouts, you had it all, and you couldn't get it done.
It was 2nd and 15.
Yeah,
that's not a great 2nd and 15. That's not a great situation. That's not like 2nd and 2.
How many times have we seen the Chiefs convert whatever in 15? A million. I'll answer it for you. A million.
Wasn't that whole play, Pat Mahomes running against the Bengals, wasn't that 3rd and forever and then the flag that helped them win?
I can't wait to see you guys celebrate Patrick Mahomes in the future, and I'm going to remind you of this day. This day
I
when
never said he wasn't great. I just said
you said he's unlikable.
They're all
Patrick Mahomes is unlikable.
No.
Okay.
Perloff, I said the Chiefs are unlikable. We'll always appreciate Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the league.
Oh, sorry. I said that on Talkback. Yeah, you just said Patrick Mahomes is unlikable. I heard it.
They're all, the Chiefs as a whole, unlikable.
Oh, come on.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, we've got that for you. We want to hear from you. That can also be a poll question today at Maggie and Pearl on the Twitter. So much more football to get to from the weekend, and also what was the biggest story, hands down, bar none, period, full stop. Get to that in a minute. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Haters. Yeah, people like me.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff, having a very interesting conversation here in the studio. Maggie's dying to know why there's 2 Monday night games tonight for the NFL. There's really 1.5 because an AFC South team is playing. Therefore, the Titans. I mean, wow. They're staggering crap. They're putting the Giants and the Titans on national TV. So honestly, play them both at the same time so I can ignore half these games.
Well, I just need someone to explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Why are both games starting at 8:15? Why are we even having a doubleheader this late in the season? Well, I'm sure there's a fine reason for it. I just would love to know what it is.
What are the stagger times? Because if you stagger them, then everyone's going to miss a chunk of both games.
Well, usually it's so the endings aren't happening at the same time in case you have good endings. Like they'll picture whatever one you're watching. Like Titans Dolphins is on ESPN, Packers Giants is on ABC.
Right, but if the second one starts at 10:30, then no one's going to see the end. Is the theory, right?
No, I think the last time they did it, it was like 7 and 8:30. Yeah. So the first game got to halftime, right. The second one started, and then there's only small overlap.
But they used to do the Monday night doubleheader that Mike Greenberg and everybody used to call
it. It used to be a true doubleheader.
True doubleheader will always be that second game, and it was always terrible.
And besides, honestly, like, do we really need to separate these games and make these 2 games standalone? I'm sorry, but
well, I mean, you got a big fan base here with Packers Giants, and then you do have the Dolphins now with the Ravens winning yesterday, but the Chiefs losing. It looks like it's going to be down to the wire here between the Dolphins and the Ravens for who gets the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. They play each other later on in the season, but still, like, that's compelling for sure.
Yeah. against the Titans. I immediately put that AFC South team in, and I'm turning the channel.
Everyone in the AFC South lost yesterday, so we'll see if the Titans make it a clean sweep tonight. Kelly's in South Carolina. Been talking about the Kadarius Toney lined up offsides. Kelly is in South Carolina, has something to say about it. Good morning, Kelly.
Yeah, hey, good morning, guys. Love the show.
Appreciate you.
I wanted to raise the point about him being offsides and how his foot was on the line.
Yep.
What really didn't get or hasn't been being talked about in all the media is the fact that in the Eagles game, and Perloff, you know this, I'm sure, on this 2nd and inches where they tried to do their little push from behind, their offensive guard was lined up in the neutral zone, and they called it on them, too.
Finally.
However, no one in the media is talking about it, because the little darling lost.
Well, the game wasn't close. I will give you that. That's the issue, though.
It doesn't matter, though, because if you're talking about it for your darling Kansas City Chiefs, you should talk about it for all of them. And I got one other thing for you, Maggie. I know you alluded to it a little bit in what's coming up that you want to talk about. Here's a whole bunch more million reasons why people can't go to baseball games. So
why? Because Shohei got paid?
Yeah, exactly.
You think that makes people not want to go?
No, it makes them can't afford to go.
Oh, can't afford to go. Right. Well,
not want to go, but can't afford to go. I couldn't bring my family of 5 to a game now. What's a game going to cost? $500?
No, it's wild, Kelly. And when you start talking about the parking and the ice cream and hot dogs, and if God forbid you want to have a beer and buying hats and T-shirts, it's just bananas.
Kelly, but you can choose to be like everyone else and decide to not watch it on TV instead of not watching it in person.
No, Kelly's trying to be a true sports fan, and he was absolutely right with what I was alluding to, which was, despite the NFL having a big weekend controversy in the Chiefs game, Dallas wins big. The biggest story of the weekend was Shohei Ohtani. The $700 million contract over 10 years. It's not exactly right. They're deferring a lot of this money. But regardless, it's fully guaranteed. It's eye-popping. And I'll give you this. There is absolutely nothing he can do to ever justify this amount of money. He'll never live up to the hype. So you can just pencil it in right now. You can write your think pieces. Shohei Ohtani is never going to be worth this much because it's going to be impossible for any one player to ever be worth that much.
He wins one World Series, it pays off.
Oh, I don't think so.
It's done. And if he wins, he'll probably win 2 MVPs in a World Series, and no one's going to look back and say we shouldn't have spent that money. Because these giant contracts always look better by the second half of it when somebody else is going to be getting paid this much.
They look worse in the second half when the person's old and past their prime.
But Shohei's 29, right? As long as he doesn't kill his arm pitching, he's going to just wreck people offensively. He's the most exciting offensive player since Bryce Harper came in the league. That's my Phillies bias. But he is so good. You're telling me with the Los Angeles Dodgers, if he wins an MVP or if they win a World Series, people are going to say, like, we shouldn't have spent that money?
No, it's going to be just one. He's already won MVP. He's already won the Cy Young. He did that for an Angels team that couldn't sniff the playoffs. Yeah. Like, him getting individual awards is not going to be enough. And one World Series, guys, not going to be enough. Like, I like Ohtani. I love watching Ohtani. But, and congrats to him for making all this money. Like, I would not begrudge him that in 1 second. I'm just telling you, the bar we're going to set for how he's judged in his career just got totally moved, because to justify $70 million a year or $700 million, it's not going to be 70 a year, but to justify $700 million is impossible to do.
But what is a guy who got a giant contract like Albert Pujols or something who's actually won a World Series or won an MVP in that second half that we kill? We kill all the bad contracts because most of these giant contracts, those guys never do either of those things. But if he does one or the other, they're fine. I mean, who are the bad contracts? Pujols, all the guys the Mets signed. None of those guys win the MVP or win the World Series. They disappoint.
I'm telling you, he wins one World Series, it's going to be just one. That's disappointing.
The Dodgers have trouble winning World Series. They got a pandemic one.
60 games.
I think winning a regular World Series would be a big deal to the Dodgers. They don't care about the money, obviously. That's irrelevant to them. I think if Shohei leads them to a World Series, there's going to be no regrets.
There's one thing I think Shohei can do to live up to this contract.
What's that?
It is ball out on the biggest stage baseball has, the World Series, bringing back the numbers that baseball used to have at the World Series. I think that that's honestly what they're looking for.
Maybe.
I think there's a chance. I think that if Shohei has a great season and the Dodgers are this big, bad juggernaut and they go into the World Series and Shohei Ohtani hits 4 home runs, pitches a complete game, and wins World Series MVP, I think the amount of eyeballs that will be on that World Series will be unlike anything we've seen in the past few years. And if he does that, if all of a sudden those World Series ratings skyrocket, then yes, he lives up to that contract.
And if he has a moment like the end of the World Baseball Classic where he's facing Mike Trout and he strikes him out, the Angels aren't making the World Series, but you know what I mean? If he has that moment where it's an all-time moment, still, I don't think he'll. It's impossible, guys. It's not too much money because you're worth what you're worth, but there's no chance it's ever gonna be deemed like, you know what was a great contract, that Ohtani contract.
But then isn't that the point then to not grade it like that? If it can't be matched, then you're wasting your time wondering if it can. Like, no one is worth what they make anymore because they all make ridiculous amounts of money. What's the point of the Dodgers aren't going to go bankrupt? They're going to get so much of this money back in new business. So then who cares whether it's worth it or not? They got Ohtani. He's the best player on the planet. He's theirs now. They just won.
Yeah, and the thing is, if most of these contracts, the guys flame out and don't do well. If Ohtani struggles, which is very possible, the guy is an injury risk, then you could say it's not worth it. But if he does what he did this year and the year before, I mean, come on. This is not the Angels. If he hits 50 homers for the Dodgers,
I know, because they
everyone's going to be watching it.
It's
going to be
team. So if he puts them over the top once, you're going to say, look at everyone else he had around him. Look at Mookie Betts. Look at everyone else. It's like he was just he was the Kevin Durant. It's not like that.
Yeah, that worked out great.
Okay, but does Durant get any credit for those?
Also, the Dodgers are not the
Warriors.
Warriors. The reason why they're paying him this much money is because they can't win like the Warriors did. So he would actually matter if he's the one that puts him over the top. And if he does what EJ just said, if he does that in the World Series, hits and pitches once, that's good enough for baseball.
Absolutely.
And that's good enough then for the Dodgers.
I'm just trying to think of when we've had big-time stars. Like Bryce Harper was in the World Series, and that didn't do jack squat for the ratings.
Oh, really? I think that
No, I mean, the ratings were down this year because this was a matchup that, was a little light.
But I think Shohei Ohtani is transcendent. This is not Bryce Harper is a good player, and he's great within baseball. I think Shohei Ohtani transcends the sport. So if you're talking about him doing that on that level, first of all, we saw the amount of eyeballs for the World Baseball Classic, some of those finals games.
Yeah.
Like bringing in the international market, how many people from Japan will be watching the World Series if you have Shohei Ohtani playing?
Okay, but one other thing you guys are forgetting, and it might not have all looked great yesterday with all the backup quarterbacks, but the World Series a lot of times does go head-to-head with the NFL. The World Baseball Classic was in the summer and basically had it all to themselves. I'm telling you, it's still gonna be tough. It's a good point. Ohtani brings in more eyeballs, casual eyeballs, whatever.
Well, first of all, what does that matter to the Dodgers? This is about the Dodgers. Who cares if the World Series ratings are up?
No, but that's what EJ is saying. That would justify the $700 million.
But why does that justifies it for baseball? I think.
Yeah, but why does it justify it for the Dodgers? Or who cares what the World Series
money you're bringing in if Shohei Ohtani's doing those kind of numbers? You know how much fan interest comes to your team if Shohei Ohtani's bringing those kind of numbers?
I'll tell you right now, that's going to happen one way or the other. He doesn't even need to get to the World Series. There's going to be so much Japanese fan interest in the Dodgers. There already is in Shohei. You see the press corps around him. It's insane.
Right, but it'd be totally different if they become the new Warriors.
Wait, I just say the point is not about World Series ratings or any of that. If he wins an MVP or if he gets to the World Series for the Dodgers, it's going to pay off. There's no $700 million is not even going to seem bad by the end of it. I'm telling you,
doesn't buy you what it used to.
You tell me that's going to be the second baseman for the Yankees. You're going to get $700 million by the time this is over.
Andrew Bogusch has headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again. So the good news for the Eagles is they no longer lead the NFL in excuses. The Chiefs leapfrogging them with yesterday's post-game meltdown over Kadarius Toney, failing to do his easiest task.
Lost for words, man. It's tough because regardless if we win or lose, man, just for it to end with another game and we're talking about the refs, man, it's just not what we want for the NFL and for football.
Man, Toney lining up offside, wiping out Patrick Mahomes' pass to Travis Kelce, who then flipped crossfield to Toney, who walked into the end zone for the go-ahead points late against the Bills. The Buffalo D then survived the ensuing 3 plays for the 2017 win at Arrowhead. Josh Allen threw for a score and ran for another.
It's great to see you sitting there on the sideline knowing that you can go out there and take a knee. You always want to finish the game with the ball, and the victory formation, that's what we did tonight.
But do we point out that his defense did kinda again give up the potential game-losing points late in the game because Toney being offside had nothing to do with the play? If he's a half a step back, all of that still happens, and they probably lose again.
Oh, you think the Bills with a minute left in one timeout would
No guarantees.
Would have been able to score?
Maybe not.
I think Perloff was right there earlier when he said that the Bills seemed a step slow in the play because there was a flag thrown.
They seemed a little confused.
Right.
I actually thought that the flag was obviously on the offense because the defense didn't jump. I mean
yeah, but sometimes it's hard to tell. Like these flinches can be so small. Like
but
that,
the flinch on the offense, but the defense has to be egregious.
Yeah, that's true.
But like no one was pointing at Tony. The guys around him don't react. They're chasing him because when you zoom in on to see where his foot is, the guy Taron Johnson's right in front of him. Nobody doesn't
just
cover
got smoked
him.
on the play.
They were just beat.
Yeah, but maybe they hesitated for a half second.
I mean, Kelsey was wide open, but he's mysteriously wide open all the time.
Yeah,
by the way, all that
sense.
being said, do not rule the Chiefs out for the number 1 seed. They're not out of this by any means because they have the easiest schedule left, and the Ravens and the Dolphins play everybody. So you guys can be down on the Chiefs now. They will be heard from again.
As for the Eagles, rare back-to-back losses after the 33-13 defeat in Dallas on Sunday Night Football. Jalen Hurts never got his offense into the end zone and lost one of their 3 fumbles.
I can keep it simple and just say win. We've done a lot of that for a long time. In these last 2 games, we haven't been able to do that. And so, it comes down to executing.
So now Philly and Dallas are even at 10-3 atop the NFC East, but the Eagles have the tiebreaker right now and would win the division by winning out. The Cowboys, for now, on a 5-game win streak after another quality effort from Dak Prescott. 271 yards, 2 scores, no picks.
Hurts made a terrible mistake yesterday. He kept on throwing the ball into Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown's hands. That was the last place you wanted to go to last night. So anybody who's going to rip Hurts, talk about the drops first. That's what I'm saying. Hurts played fine. You can rip anyone you want. That was not on Jalen Hurts. And also the center was snapping it all over the place. And I know there are a lot of Hurts haters out there, and I will answer all of them. Call me.
I don't think there's that many Hurts haters.
Wait, don't you love Jason Kelsey? Now he's the center?
Yeah, I just heard him. Yeah, he just ripped Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
The center.
The center now.
The center? Now he's the center?
Yeah, I forgot future Hall of Famer.
I forgot it was Kelsey.
Now he's the
Sexiest
center.
man alive finalist.
There was actually, you're right, it was Kelsey. I forgot about that. I do love me some Kelsey. Although Kelsey did have a terrible penalty 2 weeks ago against the Niners. But anyway, go ahead.
The Chargers lost to the Broncos yesterday 24-7. They're now 5-8, and they don't know when Justin Herbert plays again. He has a broken right index finger.
Why would he play again?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whatever. No.
Why is Brandon Staley still the head coach? There's a lot of questions.
Why are the Chargers the Chargers?
Yeah, fair. These are existential questions.
I'll go one step further. This idea that the Chargers are a sleeping giant that some coach can come fix, that team stinks. They have no talent. I would totally just rip the Band-Aid. Sorry. I bet on them yesterday.
Oh my God, that's your fault. That's your fault.
There it is. C.J. Stroud's in concussion protocol after the Texans' 36 loss to the Jets. Zach Wilson throwing for 310 and 2 touchdowns. USC football has hired North Dakota State coach Matt Entz as assistant head coach for defense and linebackers coach. This continues Lincoln Riley's makeover of his terrible defense. Entz won 6 FCS titles with the Bison as head coach or defensive coordinator. LeBron and the Lakers becoming the first ever NBA Cup champs overshadowed Jaden Daniels becoming the newest Heisman Trophy winner. The LSU quarterback producing nearly 5,000 yards of offense, 50 touchdowns. He beat Michael Penix by 328 votes, the closest vote in 5 years, and it felt like maybe 5 people noticed on Saturday night.
It was odd.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this for Jaden Daniels. I think that he still is going to become a star, but this barely registered nationally. Congrats to him and LSU and, now Burrow and him and the last 5 years, but I still think that he is going to be a star. It's just going to be in the NFL.
Well, his big moment was taken away from him because Alabama had a dirty hit. That was his game. He was feeling it. He was going to beat Alabama, and he got injured.
I think some of this also is him not being in the playoff. I think we all care about the college football playoff, and now that you don't have your Heisman in what is the biggest showcase, it kind of people knew he was going to win. He was kind of on the side, putting up all these numbers against really kind of bad SEC teams. I think that was a big reason. If LSU was in the playoff, I think we care a lot more about his season. He had 50 touchdowns this year, which is insane. But it was all for naught, really, because they didn't really compete for a championship.
You mean to tell me the ReliaQuest Bowl isn't the college football's biggest stage?
I think the other part, too, is if you were to say, like, all right, you're an alien drops down from outer space and you're looking at the 4 guys who are there for the Heisman, it's like, tell me the story of the college football season in 2023. You're probably going to Penix and Maserati Marv.
Yeah.
And Bo Nix.
And
Jim Harbaugh and Connor Stallions, too.
And Deion Sanders, number 1.
And Deion, number 1.
Yeah.
So, you got to go pretty far down on the list to get to Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. I mean, there was one analyst who in week 6 said Jaden Daniels was going to be the Heisman and probably would be a top 10 pick. Right, that was me. And actually, nobody listened to that now, and everyone's claiming Jaden Daniels.
Man. How does it feel when you have to point out your own W's?
Someone better. So that's all I can say.
Bogusch, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Lots more to do. Bogusch can't wait to get the hell out of here. Lots more to do, including your phone calls. We've got poll results on the big question of the morning. Are the Chiefs likable? Come on, be honest. Haters. Yeah, people like me. Also, did clock strike midnight on one of the great stories in the NFL? All that and more. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Oh, you ready? Sorry, I didn't. Good. Oh, good to go? Okay. It's not easy to kill a tortoise. That's the other problem.
She'll figure
Trust
it out.
me, I fantasize a lot about this. How are you going to kill it? You have to drown it, right?
Oh my gosh.
Drown a tortoise? Isn't it under?
It's
Doesn't it breathe in the water?
amphibious. Google, how do I kill a
So
tortoise?
I was thinking, I live on the 8th floor. If I dropped him out the window, would the shell crack and he die? Because I can't.
What is wrong
that
with your
sounds
family?
inhumane. Don't
Because
do
the
that.
worst torture would be to put him out on the streets. That would
I
be
disagree.
awful.
How about Central Park? There's parks in New York City. I know
He
people
would die.
think it's just
He
asphalt.
would die a terrible death in Central
And
Park.
dropping him from a building is not
Yes,
terrible death.
yes, that's much better. He died like that.
You don't know that.
Maybe.
No, he would have 0 point. How would he eat in Central Park?
But he'd be scared before. He'd probably be scared when you're putting him out the window. Say, all right, goodbye. Like, you want to put him through that
No,
torture?
don't do that. Put
You
him
let
in
him
the
die
pond.
over the course of 2 months in a foreign environment over Central Park. It would be terrible.
Perloff, tourists are going to feed him like hot dog bits and stuff.
Trust me, my sister's right. You got to kill him on the spot. That is the humane way to do it.
Trust my.
There's other ways to get in the good graces of the public than apologizing to the security guard. who was in the wrong, by the way? Why is Drake Greenlaw apologizing? The security guard shouldn't have been anywhere near him. He's an actual player, and this guy is just like a poncho wearing, like he's wearing a windbreaker over there. Get out of here.
These Big Dom's good people. I don't know what these are two good dudes.
He's a great guy who just involved himself with a play in a massive game in the NFC.
You can say whatever I don't care what you say about Drake Greenlaw, but if you're going to come after Dom, then I just trust your judgment and character. Because have you ever heard a bad word about Big Dom?
I've never heard a word about him, period. I know who Drake Greenlaw is because he's an amazing player. Not the same. There's other ways to get in the good graces of the public than apologizing to the security guard, who was in the wrong, by the way. Why is
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, 855-212-4CBS. Cowboys coming off a big win. Al is in Dallas, is ready to brag about it. Good morning, Al. How are you?
How you doing? Well, you saw the game, I assume.
Oh, did we ever?
I didn't really watch it. But.
Yes.
I'll tell you what I think. That was the best I've seen their secondary and defense play all year. That's the type of effort they're going to need if they expect to do anything in the playoffs. I'll hold off and I'll wait and listen to your response.
Al, thank you so much for the phone call and happy day in Dallas. I would say the best their defense played was probably week 1 against the Giants when they won 40-0, and that was mostly the defense. But this was the Dallas Cowboys needed to win a big regular season game against a real quality opponent, and they did that last night.
I don't buy any of that. Don't give me the symbolic. Now we know what it's like to win. I agree with the caller. This is the best the defense has been because whatever they did to get Stephon Gilmore onto that number 1 receiver, this is a game changer. I will give you, I feel stronger about the Cowboys as a good team now because they switch things around. He's playing unbelievable.
Yes.
He's playing like a true number 1. I thought he was getting older, and I didn't think he was that guy anymore, but now he's that guy again. You know him well because he was a Buffalo Bill, but he looks like
pick.
He was great last night.
Well, it's funny because you look at the numbers and like A.J. Brown, 9 receptions for 94 yards, but none of that felt like it was really impactful. Same thing for Devontae Smith, 5 catches, 73 yards. Again, like none of this felt like it was really having an impact because A.J. Brown couldn't get the yards after the catch.
Not only that, how many targets did A.J. Brown get? Because Gilmore
13.
Broke up a lot, and Gilmore punched the ball out of A.J. Brown's hands. They were trash talking, clearly got him out of his head. Yeah, I was, and this is the 3rd or 4th game in a row where he's slowed down the number 1 receiver. I'm very curious. Obviously, he's going to have some problems against the Niners in the playoffs. I don't know if they don't have a number 1 receiver you can shut out like the Eagles do with A.J. Brown or the Seahawks do with DK Metcalf.
Yeah, everybody's a threat.
So that neutralized them a little, but that is a game changer. I mean, Deron Bland was a story 3 weeks ago, and now there's a new story.
You're right. 855-212-4CBS was a 5th-round pick they traded for Gilmore. Basically, anyone could have had him. Yikes. Barry is in San Francisco, and that's a credit also to Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator. Good morning, Barry. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I have a question.
Sure.
The ball hasn't been snapped. A player flinches. They throw a flag. How come they didn't throw a flag seeing that he was offside?
Well, he's only offside. I don't totally understand, but he's really only in the neutral zone when the ball
is snapped.
Right, where I was wondering, too, why did they shut down the play? I didn't totally understand it.
No, I think this is a real problem. I mean, I'm sure the flag's been thrown before the ball's been snapped. Okay.
In the neutral zone, though, because I'm remembering back to the D Ford, which I have to go back a little bit, when the Chiefs blew their opportunity against Tom Brady and the Patriots, and they did not throw the flag until the ball was snapped.
Yeah, but this, Manny was just in my ear. It's not a pre-snap penalty.
It's a procedural.
Yeah. And again, try and explain this to a European person. Like what's happening here? It's so tricky.
Wait, who's European?
I'm just saying, people who don't follow the NFL think the rules are mystifying because they're completely mystifying. Even the announcers are having trouble with all this.
Sorry, not procedural, but it's like in the field of play, right? Because don't you give Kadarius Toney up until the ball is snapped an opportunity to back off the line?
Exactly, yeah.
Right. So it only became a penalty once it was snapped.
That's what I always
It was
thought.
not a false start.
It wasn't.
It was an offside.
Right, a false start, you stop the play. You say, okay, false start. But on an illegal shift, on a offsides, you play those plays out.
Right, like all the Chiefs' illegal shifts.
Right, because if the Bills got an interception, guess what? They would decline the penalty.
Yeah, right.
So you let the play go through.
There we go. We know what we're talking about on the show, all right?
Dean Blandino, eat your heart out.
We got a new Dean Blandino's, EJ. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. As we said, back to this crazy, controversial call. Do the Chiefs have a right to be upset? Get to that next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's a violin prodigy. Her full name is Maggie the Stallion. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, the Chiefs are getting a taste of what it's like when you're not on the positive side of all these ref calls. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Listen, the Chiefs may have legitimate gripes, Perloff. Last week against the Packers, you can go throughout history. Not everything has gone their way, but it kind of feels like they're a team where everything sort of goes their way. And yesterday, at a critical moment in the game with 1:12 left, the Chiefs are driving. This looks like every Chiefs game we've ever seen, right? Where they get the ball last and they're going to come down and they're going to take the lead and pull out this win. And instead, Kadarius Toney, who has been a much maligned wide receiver, lots of ups, but lots of downs, had his foot in the neutral zone, gets called as offsides and negates what was a really incredible touchdown play. Travis Kelce up the middle, then throws it back to Toney, streaking down the sideline for a touchdown. Got all wiped out.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to win a lot of big games with Kadarius Toney on your team. They benched him early in the season.
They won the Super Bowl last year with him, and he scored a touchdown in that Super Bowl.
I have no idea how, but he almost could have cost him that game. Andy Reid wanted to bench him early in the season and get rid of him. He should have stuck to that because this was inevitable. And by the way, the Chiefs aren't going anywhere. They're about to run the rest of the table, I think, and then Tony's going to cost him again in the playoffs. I'm here calling it right now.
Okay.
He does so many little things wrong. I have a big problem with him. But you're right. The Chiefs always win this game. I'm thinking of the Bengals playoff game last year. Thinking of the win over the Bills with 13 seconds. I'm thinking of the Super Bowl last year with the Eagles. Mahomes, I think that's why Mahomes was so upset because he doesn't know how to lose this kind of game because it's never happened.
I know. It's a bizarre place for them to be in 2 weeks in a row. And I do think that Mahomes, who was out of his mind yesterday after the loss, I mean, could not hide it, had no desire to hide it, wasn't trying to keep his cool at all, instead unloading on the referees and unloading in the post game. Let's hear a little bit of Mahomes. Said that the refs stopped greatness when they threw the flag.
I mean, obviously tough to swallow. I mean, not only for me, but just for football in general. I mean, just to take away greatness like that. I mean, for a guy like Travis to make a play like that, and who knows if we win, but as I know, as fans, you want to see the guys on the field decide the game.
I love it. This is the bigger picture here. It's not that we should all be upset because the Chiefs may have gotten hosed on a call. It's because it's bad for sports. Like, the Chiefs are so myopic. They think if it's bad for them, it means it's bad for everybody. Meanwhile, they look like crybabies today because they're the ones who are going on and on and on and making such a scene about this when their guy was in the wrong. This is not last week where MVS should have gotten a pass interference call. That I totally understand them being upset about. They need to be upset at themselves over this.
I agree with that. I do understand the bad for football thing. There's nothing worse than a big touchdown getting taken off the board with a flag. It's a problem, but it's unavoidable. If there's a penalty, you got to call it. The worst is a holding call that takes away a 90-yard play when the holding was away from the big play. I hate that. I've complained about it a million times. This was a penalty. He has no right to complain. My wife had a theory on this, what happened.
Is that right?
Yes. Watch the game with her. For some reason, maybe it's Taylor Swift. I have no idea. She wanted to settle in and watch the Chiefs Bills. Okay. Oh, also, I told her the Bills were your team. And
nice.
She was rooting for the Bills because she's a big fan of yours. She says, does Mahomes have young children at home? He looks grumpy. And I was like, yes.
Wait, what?
She said,
He does,
yeah. He probably has young
no
kids.
sleep.
He's not getting any sleep. And I said, yeah, and I think Brittany does not even give him much of a break. She's probably on top of him all day long. So he's got to go home, put the kids down because
he does put them to bed. You saw that in the documentary.
I feel like Mahomes is 40% grumpier this year. There's something going on. Mahomes does not look as joyful because the offense is kind of slower, more run-oriented. The defense is better this year. They're just not as explosive.
Well, I love your wife's theory, and it's great, totally rooted in real life. But I think the reason he's grumpy is because his wide receivers can't catch a cold.
So you're saying if the receivers were good, then the lack of sleep would be fine?
Well, I think so, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say they probably have 10 nannies who might be helping out. They might have a little help at home. I don't know.
get the sense
maybe not. I don't know.
I get the sense that Brittany and Patrick are engaged parents. Whatever. The point is, you're right. Nothing is working for him right now.
Well, let's hear
right now
the play.
It's bad.
Let's hear the play because this is what it sounded like yesterday on Chiefs radio, where they were excited and then not.
Kelsey 25, angling back, 20. Now he's going to lateral it back at the 15-yard line. It's Tony, 10, 5, touchdown, Kansas City. They mess around in practice with this all the time. It's going to go with a 49-yard touchdown. Kelsey, the old University of Cincinnati quarterback.
Offside, number 19, offense, lined up in the neutral zone, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Play the second half. I love the sad. I'm sorry, I don't remember who this was, but this is such a tale of two calls.
One of the most exciting plays. A TD is wiped off the board and a 5-yard penalty. 2nd and 15 for the Chiefs at their own 46. It would have gone as a 49-yard touchdown catch and lateral.
Bro, did you not see the flag? You gotta at least mention that in your call. You can't start talking about Travis Kelce playing quarterback in college. You have to see the flag.
I mean, Nance called it right away, and we're not calling out like any other broadcasters, but I mean, I guess you just go big on the call and then take care of it later because no one wants to have a muted call and then it turns out it was maybe the play of the year and your call's not getting played at the end of the year.
Yep.
Recap.
And honestly, football, this is the only sport where we're dealing with this. Oh, is it tedious call? Is it not a tedious call? Should you warn them? Should you not warn them? If this was the NBA and the guy stepped out of bounds, you say the guy stepped out of bounds. If this was baseball and the ball was hit off the foul line, you say that was off the foul line. It's a foul ball. Why with this situation with the Chiefs, they're acting like, oh, this is a rule that we should just ignore unless you tell us that we're breaking it, and then you should give us a warning before you actually throw the flag.
Yeah, it's like they're expecting, the referees to somehow bail them out here when the referees after were saying this was egregious, right? If you're maybe a little bit off the ball or getting close to it, maybe the referee will give you a courtesy.
Yeah.
I liken it to blackjack dealers in Vegas. You have some blackjack dealers or anywhere you can gamble. Some croupiers will be like really nice to you.
Yeah.
Right? Well, they'll
give
be
you
like,
advice.
Yeah, you're going to want to double down here. You're going to want to split here. I wouldn't hit here. If you're like an experienced blackjack dealer player, you don't need this. But sometimes for amateurs, it's nice to have the croupier sort of give you a little advice, strategy. That's what they were expecting the refs to do here. It's like you were expecting them to help out a little bit with the strategy or the procedure and say, hey, back off the line a little bit. And these refs were saying, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think more of a dealer in blackjack will help. I'm not sure a croupier is going to be able to do much. Is it croupier the guy who drops the ball?
No. Croupier is a blackjack dealer.
No, that's a dealer. A croupier is specifically for roulette, I thought.
Is it? I thought a croupier is for anything.
Totally wrong. I've seen the movie The Croupier with Clive Owen, and he was doing roulette, but you could be right. Or craps. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
Craft. I don't know.
I have no. Anyway, but I understand your point. The competition committee probably can't do anything about this, but a call that is dependent on a warning from the official to avoid, that seems like you're putting another thing on the official's plate. This sounds so stupid if you don't know the history of this call. You're like, wait, so you didn't get the warning? That's why the Chiefs do sound idiotic right now.
Yeah, they sound like they're whining. And so this is what's going on in the chat right now. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, where Eric Rivera said, we've been complaining about the refs for 15 years. Give me a break. And Pine Needle Back said, Eric, the funny thing is the ref got the call right and they're still complaining. You're right. It's like the refs can't do anything. listen, and to back up the refs is a lonely place to be because they have missed a lot of calls, and including ones that went against the Chiefs. This is not one they missed. And you want to say, well, unwritten rules? Well, then now we're getting into a gray area. And the crew chief, Carl Cheffers, basically said, and this sums it up, ultimately, they are responsible for wherever they line up. That's it. So, Chiefs, cry us a river. It's on you.
But by the way, don't do a victory tour, NFL officials, because you stink.
Well,
I mean, you're a disaster right now.
Bad.
You could say the Chiefs being unlikable is the big story here. The officials, I mean, come on, every week. Maybe it's us because we're paying more attention, but the game has gotten too complicated and too fast for officials. And even with the Sky Judge help from New York, they're screwing up everything. I just want to put that out there.
You are right. There's also a poll up that you can vote on in our chat. Do you know what a croupier does? Apparently none of us do.
I think, and I'm putting on record, I don't know as a fact. I don't even know what language the word comes from. I think they are more known for doing roulette. And because in the movie The Croupier, he was putting the ball out there. But I could be wrong.
You don't know what language it is? You don't want to take a stab?
It's totally French? I don't know. Yeah.
So here's some casino website has a pretty good definition, difference between croupier and dealer. So these two terms are frequently used as synonyms since both are in charge of managing the game, passing the bets, and guiding players. The difference is the type of game they are in charge of. Dealers manage card games like poker or blackjack. Croupiers usually manage roulette games.
Okay, Perloff was right.
To Perloff's point.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's called The Croupier with Clive Owen. Oh, yeah.
Weird movie. 855-212-4CBS. You're welcome to weigh in on this controversial Chiefs call yesterday because it did wipe out this incredible touchdown. Mahomes is mad about it. Andy Reid is mad about it. And it's a big deal. Now, on the other side of this, there's a part of the Chiefs thing that we're not talking about as much. But here on the Maggie and Perloff Show, nothing is off limits. Chiefs aren't likable. That has nothing to do with what the referees did yesterday. I'm not saying anything's rigged. I'm not saying they're getting, hosed or screw job or anything like that. I'm saying the Chiefs are probably getting a wake-up call today that people are calling them whiners and criers because they're not that likable. And it's for a few very obvious and easy reasons. This is not, this isn't shady backdoor stuff. They've been super successful. The success breeds contempt. They're overexposed with every commercial as Kelsey and Mahomes. And the Taylor Swift aspect of it makes them even more overexposed with Taylor and Britney and all this stuff. It's just, they're not likable right now. They have to get comfortable being a little bit of the heel here, being a bit of a villain, because that's what happens when you win like this.
I feel
haters. People like me.
They're very much like the Golden State Warriors, where they're the nice guys, but people found them a little cocky or something, and we're trying to. But there was never any meat to the I hate the Golden State Warriors, and I don't think there's any real meat to the I don't like the Chiefs. I'm just curious, if the Chiefs aren't likable, who is likable? Like, what's the outside team, the team you don't root for that people all love? I have a thought on who it might be, but I don't even think that's a team.
Go ahead.
I think the Miami Dolphins are close.
Yeah.
Because everyone loves Tua. Everyone loves Mike McDaniel.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Tyreek Hill's not that likable.
No, he's not. But I do think, regardless, something about Miami is kind of, because they haven't done it yet, too. I think your definition of likable, once you get to the top of the mountain, it's very hard to sustain likability.
I think a lot of people probably think San Francisco's pretty likable because Brock Purdy's story. I think people have always rooted for McCaffrey. I know Debo talks a lot of trash, but you're going to hate Brandon Ayuk? Like, you're going to hate Kittle?
I think that the Niners are a bit of bullies. I'm not sure if they quite fit the definition.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Perloff. I kind of think that, to be honest, they remind, not because they're from the same city, but they kind of remind me more of the Warriors than even the Chiefs. Like, to me, what we kept hearing during that 3-game losing streak was, Brock Purdy can't win without a super team. Like, I think people look at the Niners as kind of this super team with all these stars everywhere. So I don't know if they're really a team people can get behind. I agree with Perloff. I would say the Dolphins would be the team that I would look at as a team that maybe people would say are likable. Maybe the Bengals. I think the Bengals were that team before Burrow got hurt.
Maybe.
People really got behind Burrow with the chains and the cool stuff they were wearing, and Jamar Chase and the gritty. Like, I think those would be the two teams I would look at. Those are likable teams.
Why not the Baltimore Ravens? And the Ravens are not hated by any means. They are popular, but I feel like for some reason they don't catch hold. Maybe because they've been good and haven't quite gotten over the mountain yet.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, they're not disliked, but they're not. they're not the plucky underdogs because they've been really good for a long time now.
Maybe despite the fact they have Lamar Jackson, who's literally won an MVP, I think they're still thought of as a defensive team.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe that's part of it. It's
Definitely.
like they're the sort of like the most famous player in their history is Ray Lewis, and Ed Reed. Like, you're just thought of as being defensive, and in this league where it's offense, that doesn't get you a lot of headlines, even though their offense is awesome this year.
I think they're missing that cool skill position player. Like,
well, Odell
maybe Zay
now.
Flowers becomes that guy.
Odell?
He's not. I mean, he's a little older now. It took him basically 5-6 weeks to even start catching passes for them, and he really wasn't in their offense initially. Like, I think that if you're looking about these teams again, Tyreek Hill maybe not lovable, but he is a very exciting player to watch.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, extremely exciting player to watch. I think typically when we look at these teams that people really enjoy, I think about the Vikings of the late 90s, early 2000s, Randy Moss. Like, you need that wide receiver or a great running back, somebody that's really electric when you get the ball.
Yeah.
I think the Texans were becoming the likable team this year. They kind of became everybody's favorite underdog, but they had a rough Sunday.
Yeah, unfortunately, a concussion for C.J. Stroud, so now we've got to see what happens. Meanwhile, you did have Brittany Mahomes on Instagram after the game saying that the refs are the real MVP. Spare me, lady.
Does she have another dinner to go to with Taylor Swift in New York? She was actually at the game yesterday. I was surprised.
I mean, here's the thing. It's like the Chiefs have been getting calls. Listen, I hate to say it because we know that the refs are under fire this year, but it generally feels like does kind of even out for everyone but the Saints. Like, it does kind of even out. You can never give the Saints back that 2018.
Is this about not getting flowers for the Bills winning a big game? What is all this vitriol against the Chiefs?
It's not about that. It's just I'm trying to illustrate my point here of why I think the Chiefs are not likable. I think that Patrick Mahomes will always have everyone's undying respect. Same with Kelsey. These are two all-time great players. Chris Jones, an all-time great player like that. It's not about the individual talent. Mahomes himself might be likable, but the Chiefs have to get a little used to people dancing on them a little when they come up short. And they've not understood what this is like outside of Brady at 43 beating them in the Super Bowl. But that was more about Brady, and the Chiefs' offensive line was all banged up, and it was excusable for why they lost that big game. They got to realize when they lose, people are going to be happy because they've been winners for so long.
I think they have the single most likable head coach in the league. They have the single most likable quarterback in the league. And they have one of the top 3 most likable pass catchers. Travis Kelce hosted Saturday Night Live before Taylor Swift.
And I'm telling you, he's overexposed.
He has a number one podcast, but he's likable. He's incredibly likable. That's why everyone likes that podcast.
And why does everybody hate his relationship?
I don't know if that's true. Because everyone hates it. You say everyone hates his relationship?
Oh, you jabroni! I don't know how many times I've been behind his glass and we've talked about Taylor Swift, and I've gotten a caller who doesn't want to go there on the air who just tells me, shut up about Taylor Swift, go to football, and then hangs up on me.
Well, that's about Taylor, not about Travis. I think these are Chad's dads and Brad's. Isn't that what Taylor said? Who don't want Taylor Swift encroaching on the manly world of football.
No, but there are people who do feel like this has become a distraction. And Michael Lombardi said it earlier in the season. I don't think that people think of this Kelsey Swift thing and say, oh, this is really awesome.
Listen, I got to be honest. I know I'm not trying to make this about the Bills or Josh Allen. Josh Allen's literally dating someone who was nominated for an Oscar, and I see more Donna Kelsey.
Who? Oh, Haley Stanfield was nominated for an Oscar?
Yes. Like, she's a legit True Grit.
She's also Hawkeye, by the way.
Yeah,
Kate Bishop.
And listen, of course Taylor's going to get a lot of attention. I'm just saying that adds into the overexposure. And when you get overexposed, people start to roll their eyes at you.
Taylor Swift just won Time Person of the Year. I'm sorry, Haley Steinfeld's nomination as a 9-year-old for True Grit is not quite moved the needle here.
Who else is nominated for an Oscar around there?
Taylor Swift, Time Person of the Year. She's the biggest star in the world, and no one's even close.
I'm telling you, that's adding to the dislike. 855-2124-CBS. I got poll results that can back it up. Right now, at Maggie and Pearl. Yeah, people like me. Right now, go to Maggie and Pearl on Twitter, as I am doing in this moment because EJ's on the phone.
Okay.
The poll question, are the Chiefs a likable team? Would you like to know the results, early results?
Yeah.
71% say no.
But who is going to put what team is likable if you don't root for them? It's the NFL where everybody's at each other's throat. Who would you put on there that would get a much better result?
I think that most people last year were really behind Geno. I think there are stories.
Nobody cares about the Seahawks. Come on.
I said last year, I think the league
America,
wrote me off,
no.
you didn't write back. I think people were super into Geno. I think people are super into Tua.
You think people were super into Geno Smith last year?
They
Maybe
liked
in
him.
New York because he was
100%
here.
approval rating.
Yeah, but that was mild. I mean, listen. First of all, nobody's watching Seattle. Like this country is about the Cowboys. It's about the NFC East. It's about the Chiefs. I think that people still are at least fascinated with the Chiefs. I don't think that their likability's gone down. I mean, if they're in the Super Bowl, that would be amazing for the NFL. You will give me that.
People love the Lions this year, and we'll get to the Lions as a feel-good story in just a moment because things are going in the wrong direction. Dalton is in Topeka. He's got a thought on this Chiefs situation. Hey, Dalton.
Hey, I just find it hilarious that the Chiefs are sitting here complaining about a call or no calls when if you look back at last year's AFC Championship game, I'm a Bengals fan. I'm a little biased, but let's see. The pass interference in the red zone on Logan Wilson. Let's see the no call on the holding on that miraculous, encouraging run that Patrick Mahomes did on 4th and whatever with his hurt leg. Well, I'm sorry, that play never happens if the offensive lineman isn't holding on to Sam Hubbard like it's his last chance at life.
No, Dalton.
Dalton, I have to question your objectivity here.
Yeah, I mean, a little. Also,
what about the out of bounds hit?
When he was out of bounds? I mean, that one was a little more obvious.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about when he was running. And, his offensive lineman was holding on to Trey. It was either Hendrickson or Hubbard. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But he was holding on to him like he was about to drown, and that was a life raft.
Dalton, you're so right about this. It's a little bit, and listen, this is not even a playoff game, right? This is a regular season game, but now the Chiefs are looking at the very real possibility of having to play a playoff game on the road. The horror.
By the way, do not count that as a done deal.
No, it's probably not. But here's a question from Ben Franklin in the chat, which we are humbled to have someone of his caliber in our chat. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. And he has the same avatar, so it's got to be him. When they go out to dinner, when Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift go to dinner, who picks up the check? It's a good one. 855-212-4CBS. All right. We see you guys on the phones. Yes, Perloff?
Does either of them have to pay? Doesn't a restaurant be like, you're Taylor Swift, you're not paying in my restaurant? I feel like she's got a pass for life.
Well, then leave a tip.
You got to leave a major tip.
Yeah. You tip on the amount of that the bill would have been.
Okay. Also, do they go to restaurants like normal humans?
Remember Argentina?
Argentina, but Taylor Swift cannot go to an American restaurant.
She went to the wedding in Jersey.
That whole big New York scene with her and Sophie Turner and Brittany Mahomes, they were coming out of a restaurant.
Yeah, how do they do that?
They went to dinner on Saturday night.
They shut down the place. They got the bread to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers had his birthday party. I mean, famous people do things.
I don't think a waiter came up with a normal bill like it happens to us on Friday night. I don't think it works like that, but
yeah, I'm not sure. 855-212-4CBS, but someone has to put money down for something because they didn't go back to the kitchen and cook the meal themselves and then bring it out.
Maggie, you know rich people don't pay for anything, right?
I do know that. 855-212-4227. We see you guys. Keep it coming. Are the Chiefs likable? And also, did the Chiefs have a right to complain last night? Massive call with 1:12 left. Definitely went a far way in deciding the game. 855-212-4227. It's Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie, I might owe you an apology.
For what this time?
I guess maybe I'm wrong, and all of America has been keeping receipts on the Chiefs for the last 5 years.
Yes.
Why? Patrick Mahomes is the most lovable quarterback in the NFL. Travis Kelce's awesome. Andy Reid is the man. But I guess people are mad.
Well, I just don't think they're likable. And part of it is their own success. And now they're crying. This is the latest. They're crying about what happened yesterday when their own player, Kadarius Toney, was lined up in the neutral zone. Like, you can't get on the refs because they didn't bail you out. Like,
but they're not a traditional bad guy. I mean, if you think of NFL bad guys, I think of a defensive player who is a headhunter or whatever, like
Vontaze Burfict. Like
exactly, or James Harrison with the Steelers, and tough defensive teams. This is the pretty boy team. This is the high-octane offense. They're not your NFL bad guy. And I think, honestly, you're going to want to see them in the playoffs. If it's Baltimore and Jacksonville in the AFC title game, that's not quite the same as having the Chiefs.
Listen, you don't have to be a headhunter or a dirty player to be hated. You can also just be really good, and you can also be overexposed, which is exactly what the Chiefs are.
I can't imagine. People really hate Patrick Mahomes. I don't get it.
Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4CBS. Josh is in South Bend. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. So there's no doubt that the Chiefs were in the wrong. They shot themselves in the foot, offsides.
Yeah.
But does NFL need to look into how they officiate that? You don't allow the play when there's encroachment or offsides unabated by the defense. Why does the play even get to continue when the offense is offsides?
You know, Josh, we were wondering about that earlier. We think it's because they're giving Toney a chance to back off the line until the ball is snapped.
Yeah, but it is definitely not it doesn't look good because nothing good what's going to happen on that play? Like nothing can happen. There's going to be a 5-yard penalty no matter what happens. So what's the point of playing it out? They do whistle plays dead a second into the play. I kind of see what you're getting at, Josh. I wondered the same thing last night.
Yeah, it just seems, defense gets their advantage, I guess. When defense is offsides, offense gets their advantage just to level the playing field. Maybe that's why, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem exactly right.
Josh, thank you so much for the call. And I saw that Gene Steratore had written on Twitter, when officiating the line of scrimmage, general philosophy is not to be overly technical and split hairs over very minor infractions, such as receivers' hands slightly breaking the line of scrimmage. However, when an infraction is so egregious and obvious, and this is where Gene went in all bold, a flag has to be thrown. Kadarius Toney is, again, bold, blatantly lined up offsides, and in the neutral zone, you rarely see an offsides penalty on the offense, but that is not because the play in Buffalo, Kansas City isn't a foul. It's because a receiver rarely lines up offsides, according to Gene.
Wow.
And we know Gene's word is as good as gold.
Yeah, I mean, a former NFL official sticking up for the NFL officials, that's so weird.
Gene Steratore.
Whatever. He's just like the rest of them, that nothing should be overturned.
Well,
like the official always gets it right. I love Gene Steratore.
Yeah, the guy on ESPN, John Parry, was not nice when on the PI call on Monday night. I mean, he
said this is not a foul. Yeah.
Right. So, and he said the same thing that Steratore said, is like, that's just a foul. You have to call that. Mm-hmm. It just is what it is. The only thing he let in was, I don't know what happened. No one's clear on whether Toney checked down the line or if the guy responded, because he said they'll usually do like a hand signal to tell the receiver to back up. He's like, I don't know that part, but he was offside and you have to call that.
I just feel like last night I saw the blue line where Toney's toes, like half his foot was on the blue line. And the way it's being covered now, it's Toney was standing next to the free safety. I mean, he's moved farther and farther away. He was 4 inches over the line of scrimmage, and they're acting like he was 10 yards past it.
It's clearly a foul, though. And what I don't understand
he was ahead of the ball.
And what I don't understand, though, is if you're the Chiefs, why aren't you more upset at Kadarius Toney?
Right.
Like, this guy's been costing you so many games this year. He cost you a little bit last year as well. Like, he's not a reliable player. Like, I think to me, like, this is them being concerned about the wrong things. Like, they should be concerned about
they're concerned about that. You know they are. I mean,
I don't know.
They've taught.
How do I know that? He talking about the refs.
They had no receivers. They benched him in week 2. They know they have a Kadarius Toney problem. When you are team building and you're like, we're going to spend nothing on wide receivers, they're very well aware that they're getting nothing from their wide receivers.
You cannot convince me that they are upset about Kadarius Toney. When I see Pat Mahomes wanting to go after the refs, I still watch that and I thought, he wants to go after Kadarius Toney. Good. I didn't want to wring his neck as well.
You don't think the coaches are sitting there today saying, what are we going to do about Kadarius Toney? I guarantee they're not talking about the refs. I guarantee they're talking about what do we do about this guy.
All they talked about last night was the refs. I didn't hear one thing about Kadarius Toney.
It's just complaint after complaint. Andrew Bogusch is here with headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again. The caller, by the way, I think why they let the play happen is because the defense could make a play.
Yeah, I know.
But the offside doesn't prevent the play from starting, and then you got a pick 6, then the defense should want to get that, or a fumble, or whatever.
You would decline the penalty.
But you understand that that's not like exactly a thrilling play. Let's see if the defense can get a turnover.
No, but the plays that are whistled dead before the play starts,
unabated to the quarterback.
It's like a safety thing. So the guy's not running over the quarterback because he just ran past the left tackle. Everything else, the play, even like an illegal shift on the offense, the play happens so the defense has a chance to do something. Instead of pushing some tushes, the Eagles got their butts kicked last night in Dallas, 33-13.
Hurts in the gun. Snap back, looking, throws it out underneath to A.J. Brown. He fumbled the ball, and it is recovered by Dallas. That looked like a catch and a fumble, and that's what it was.
Brad Sham on Cowboys Radio. Philly fumbled the ball away 3 times, scored 0 offensive touchdowns, handing the Cowboys their 5th win in a row. They are 7-0 at home, with 6 of those wins coming by 20 points or more. This one feels a little different to Dak Prescott.
It was big. We needed it. Let's not sugarcoat that. We needed that. Obviously, I've talked about it before. Mike talks about grabbing a huge chunk of confidence and moving forward, and being able to do that against a team like that here at home, place that we've had a lot of success at over the last 2 years, puts us in front of the division, right? Does? Tied?
Yeah, well, so technically tied at 10-3, but Dallas at the moment has the division lead based on division records.
Bogus, you're gonna give it. What time is the parade in Arlington? Are they?
It's Wednesday.
It's tomorrow. Actually, player day off.
Yeah,
Tuesday parade.
I'm so happy that the Cowboys finally did it.
Yeah,
they broke.
Here we go.
Here we go.
You've ruined every Cowboy play for me. That's all I heard last night was you doing that. It's like there's an extra mic on him now.
Here we go.
I like when he does the quick one. Where he's like, here we go.
Yeah.
He's got different cadences.
Why?
Meanwhile, they're acting like he split the atom with this new cadence thing. It's like, wow, did you realize that Dak Prescott's in the Nobel Prize, the Nobel Prize for his cadences?
I could end all this in 2 seconds. That cadence isn't going to sound good. If somebody just double team CeeDee Lamb, double team him, Bogus. What are we doing here, people?
Maybe you should go with a sign outside the Eagles facility, like the 2 dudes who went last week and said, run the ball, double CD.
Yeah, and Spy, Jalen Milroe. I have all these defensive players. I think I was miscast. I could have been Jonathan Gannon.
You'd give better pregame speeches, though.
Definitely.
The Eagles, by the way, their defense stinks.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice that last night?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We did notice it.
They're also tired, though, so there's that.
They're
Once they get there,
exhausted.
Very tired. I relate to that.
Did they get enough electrolytes for the game? I don't know.
Maybe not.
Oh, what's worse, though, with the Jake Browning, who was really good yesterday, and we can talk about the Bengals and their playoff hopes are very much alive. Cramps in his throwing hand? That sounds like a lie.
He blamed it on not drinking enough water.
In your hand? I get it. Cramps in your hands and your feet? Awful. So painful.
And there was a dehydration in the game last night, too. One of the Cowboys, right? I think they had somebody out for dehydration. NBC came back with a fancy graphic, like 4 injured guys, and one of them was dehydration.
Yeah, you're right. I was surprised. I thought it'd be Mike McCarthy because he just had surgery.
Yeah, he looked fine.
He did look a
No,
spry.
I mean, he's medically hydrated. I mean, he's been on
that's true.
fluids and IVs and stuff like that. He's probably never been in better shape than he
I
is
feel
right
like
now.
his skin even looked good.
Right. It'll be gone by this Wednesday. Post-parade, he'll look like crap. The AFC has 6, 7, and 6 teams this morning, ranging from the 6th-place Steelers to the 11th seeded Bills, who escaped Arrowhead 2017. The Broncos part of this group as well after a 24-7 win at the Chargers. And those Bengals still thinking wild card because of Jake Browning.
Browning moves under center. He has Mixon 5 yards behind him. Browning will try to sneak it in. Mixon shoves him in the back into the end zone. Touchdown, Bengals.
Browning forcing his way into the end zone. They're throwing for 2 scores in a 34-14 decision over the Colts, who dropped to 7-6. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Joe Burrow lent his suite to the Browning clan for this game.
Oh,
So
That's nice.
Yeah, so his family, his girlfriend were able to jump around inside and be warm.
That's nice.
Not out in the seats like the last time.
Okay,
apparently.
sorry. One more thing about getting the cramps in your hand.
Yeah,
so when
sure,
he
please.
goes back into the locker room, what's happening back there? An IV?
I believe he said he got IV after the game. Yeah.
Okay.
Little Gatorade.
Sorry, I'm just like
You just dunk your hand in it?
I'm not. It's not that I'm not believing him. It's just, are we sure that his hand's not, something didn't happen?
What I didn't understand is
sprain, bent, something. Sorry.
what I thought was funny though was that after the game he said, "Well, it was cold out here, so I didn't drink a lot of water." Which is like, I don't know. You're playing quarterback. Like, I think you'd want to drink water regardless of whether or not it's cold. Like, do you not, when you go out for a run, do you not want to drink water because you're not
Also,
tired?
Hydration starts days before the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
I kind of get that, though, where if it's cold out, you're not as prone to drink water because you're not hot and sweaty. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But you're still doing something athletic. Anyway.
In other injury news,
but you forget.
Chargers QB Justin Herbert now dealing with a broken right index finger. Texans QB CJ Stroud's in concussion protocols. And Vikings wideout Justin Jefferson went to the hospital to get a chest injury checked. The team believes Jefferson avoided serious internal injury, but his status for Saturday's game is unclear. Dueling Monday night games, Giants, Packers, Titans, Dolphins. The moment things somber in Tennessee after the untimely death of former Titans head end Frank Wycheck. The 52-year-old passed away at his home Saturday, apparently after a fall. With Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani settled, the next big name in baseball's offseason is Japanese righty Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's expected to start in-person meetings with teams here in the States today with the Yankees. Mets brass recently went to Japan to meet with Yamamoto. It's been a while since they ate funnel cakes in Seattle. The Kraken dropping their 8th in a row last night, 3-0 to the Wild. And women's college hoops, number 17, UConn, playing with its lowest ranking in 30 years, outscored number 24, North Carolina, 76-64 at the Hall of Fame showcase in Connecticut. Paige Beckers, 26 points and 4 blocks. Guys, back to you.
Adrian Bogish, thank you so much. We see you guys on the phones, everyone up in arms about what happened yesterday. What side of this are you on? Do you think the Chiefs had legitimate gripe with the officials for not having a warning or something like that? Or do you find the Chiefs in the wrong and also maybe a little whiny? We'll also get to why Perloff looks the way he does today.
What? That's a loaded. Yeah, that's an odd tease. Genetics, lack of sleep,
like a sunlight.
Where do I start?
No, something unusual. Rough 48 hours for our guy.
I'm okay.
This is an all-timer. We'll get to that in a minute. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Blaming Taylor, amongst other things, for why the Chiefs are unlikable. It's not Taylor. It's the fact that they've been so successful. It's the fact that they're all overexposed because with the spoils of success comes all the commercials and the podcast and Donna Kelsey and everything. And I just think that the Chiefs are not likable. And then yesterday, they, are on the wrong side of maybe a ticky-tack call, but one that was certainly against the rules. Kadarius Toney's foot was in the neutral zone. It wasn't offsides. And they're complaining like they just got the election stolen from them or something like that. Like this happened for real,
They've stormed the commissioner's office. Can I ask you a question? Do you find the Dallas Cowboys likable?
I kind of do, but I have no rivalry with them like you do.
So you think the Chiefs are unlikable and you like the Dallas Cowboys?
Who am I hating on the Cowboys? I don't have a rivalry with them.
It's the Dallas Cowboys. That's the team you hate.
Listen.
The Chiefs are, honestly, this seems like the nicest bunch of rich individuals, athletes in the collected ever.
I'm telling you.
How could you not? Like, Travis Kelce's obviously well-liked. The dude is the #1 podcast and host at Saturday Night Live.
Overexposed. Just because you're not a villain like Mean doesn't mean that people aren't going to have a backlash to you. And so right now, the poll results at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter reflect that 70% of people say no, they are not likable.
I would hope the best team in the league over the last 5 years would not be liked because you like your own team and you dislike the good teams. But as far as likable, Patrick Mahomes is as likable as any athlete in sports. And
what about Brittany? You got to take them all. What about Jackson?
I don't watch Brittany.
You take them all, man.
Because I'm watching what's happening on the field.
I never said you don't respect him.
I'm not. And by the way, I'm not coming after a guy's wife. That's terrible.
I'm just saying she doesn't add to the likability.
Who cares? She's fine.
Haters like me. Bill's in California. Bill, how are you, dude?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
You got it. What's up?
Hey, one thing I just got to say, we got to understand this is a game, and it's built on human error. Tony made a human error. He knows his job, gets paid millions of dollars, and he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
The refs, the same thing. That's what intrigues everybody. The refs are going to make mistakes. I'm a 49er fan, and Ambry Thomas got called for a bad hit a few weeks ago. That wasn't a bad hit. You move through it, and you get through it. Last week, the Chiefs got a call where Mahomes got hit for out of bounds, and he wasn't out of bounds.
Right.
So stop the bitching, stop the complaining.
Yeah.
And play ball.
I think and Bill, I think that's why it was, first of all, pretty shocking. Thank you for the phone call. It was shocking yesterday that Mahomes was so out of his mind, right? He usually doesn't do that. Andy Reid doesn't usually go after officials like that. And you get the frustration from last week's Packer game and how it bleeds over. But to Bill's point, every fan base deals with this, number one. And number two, you kind of get the sense it generally does even out. Like there were calls that were given to Mahomes that were in the AFC Championship game last year and even in the Super Bowl that were questionable. Yeah. And there are calls that go against them like D Ford years ago in the AFC Championship game. It's all part of it.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are frustrated because they're playing poorly. I think that is a big reason that they freaked out so much last night. That's not on anybody except themselves. I will say there is one thing that I would like to see the NFL do something about, and I don't know if they can. I find the fact that you score a touchdown in the NFL and then you wait to see if there's a flag, it's such a consistent thing. I wait for that touchdown graphic to come out up on Fox. Otherwise, I don't know if it's a touchdown. I do think if they could shut down the play and not let it play out like that, that might be better. Although people love the free play on offense when there's offsides.
Because a big play's coming, a big shot.
I hate an 80-yard touchdown that's called back on holding. It pains me as a fan. So I do understand. Is there anything they can do about it? Like, just shut that play down. Why do they have to play it out? For the defense to get a possible interception?
I think that's why. I mean,
that's not a big enough reason.
So many rules go against the defense now. You got to give them the chance.
Why?
Well, because they might be able to make a play. How about yesterday, too? You did get a massive touchdown return in overtime with the Baltimore Ravens. No flags on that one.
Oh, yeah, I know, except for a massive block on the back right where the guy broke free.
We're not talking about that right now. Quickly, James is in Modesto. James, you're a Raider fan. This had to be especially painful yesterday.
Oh, man. I'll get to that in a minute, but I just want to say that with the Kansas City Chiefs, the heat is on. And real quick, one of us is happy today. Maggie. The rest of us are hating life.
True.
But anyway, Yeah, but you know what? This may not be a shocker to you, but I hate the Chiefs.
Well, you're a Raider fan. You're supposed to hate the Chiefs.
But this will surprise you. I love Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I think he's a great quarterback.
The best quarterback in the league.
Oh, yeah. The guy's great. I would love to have him on the Raiders. Shit. I mean,
Hey, James, sorry. Sorry, James. Hey, we get it.
I understand. I
said
relate to
something that
James.
I generally would say. But here's the thing. Devontae Adams should be like the head of tourism for Las Vegas.
Why is
because
that?
he should have asked out of this situation weeks ago. And yet he continues to play for this Raiders team. It has to be just because he loves living in Vegas. There's no other reason to be a Raider.
Yeah, you know what's so funny? When they named Aiden O'Connell the starter, I'm like, yeah, that makes some sense. Let's see what the young guy's got. Now I'm not quite sure why he's on the field.
Well, he's not that good, and they could go back to Jimmy G, but once Josh McDaniels got fired,
Yeah, now
it's like, why is Jimmy G going to play?
Tank is on.
Okay, so we see you guys on the phone, but we do have to address something that's happening right here in the studio, which is the awful 48 hours that Andrew Perloff endured Friday into Saturday.
Actually, Friday was way worse.
Okay, well, do you want to talk about Friday first? And
Yeah,
then
without giving away too many details, I was put on a grand jury. So I have 4
brutal.
weeks of grand jury. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to get political here or anything, but 4 weeks of grand jury does not fit the modern economy. There were freelancers in that room who were almost crying to the judge, "You're ruining my career." She said, "Sit down or I'll have the police take you to jail." It was a battle royale. Nobody wants to do it, and they don't take any excuses. So the jury system's broken. That's besides the point. So I have 4 weeks of grand jury, but I'll be okay. I'll be able to do the show in the morning.
Yeah.
It starts after the show. But then Saturday, maybe because I was distracted by the grand jury, I had a serious basketball accident, got cut above my left eye, Rocky style, which was one thing. Went to the hospital. They glued it together,
Yeah.
which is now a replacement for stitches. But what I didn't realize is how black and blue it became. So it looks like I got a left hook.
Yeah, you look like you just went 12 rounds
Yeah.
with like
I look like Rocky.
You kind of do.
I know. By the way, and if you
that
think
thing's
I'm
going to swell too, right?
Yeah, I hope so. It's the toughest I've ever looked.
Honestly,
I
it
love
is the most badass you've ever looked.
No, I'm not going to lie to you. It doesn't hurt. I love how cool it looks.
I mean, you should walk into the jury room now and be like, "What? I am getting off this
Well, I was
grand
thinking
jury."
about showing up in sunglasses, and they'd be like, "Sir, take your sunglasses off," and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna mess with me, take it off, and look like a tough guy."
Yeah, I mean, this is the toughest you've ever looked, bar none. Like we should be taking headshots or something today.
Real story is 2 middle-aged men were going for a basketball and bumped heads.
I think we
it's
need
not
a
quite
better
as
story.
good. Yeah, we need a way better story.
I think you. I think you were sitting in the booth next to John Sterling. I think you. I think it's like
how
a
about
mugger or something.
How about I was
basketball.
watching the game at a bar, the Eagles-Cowboys, and a Cowboys fan was cheering too much. I'm like, I'm going to stand up for you, Jalen Hurts.
You're playing basketball in New York City. All you gotta say is I was at a pickup game and things got rough. People will automatically assume, okay, there was fisticuffs. You didn't have to say about, I bumped heads with somebody.
Yeah, it was against a CPA.
Exactly.
Who,
Yeah.
50.
It was not. All right, I like EJ. That's a great line. I will use that.
It was on the mean streets in New York playing pickup basketball with 5 lawyers and 1 accountant. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Wow, a lot happening in Week 14, including a very, very controversial call at the end of the Chiefs-Bills game. Chiefs wide receiver Kadarius Toney with a foot on the line, if you will, right at the line of scrimmage and over the line of scrimmage. That was an offsides. It negated an all-time awesome touchdown play. Mahomes to Kelsey, throws back to Toney. He goes to the end zone, but it was all for naught. It gets wiped out. The Chiefs are so beside themselves because of this call. Mahomes goes 0 for 3 on the next 3 pass attempts, still complaining about it to the referees after the game. He and Andy Reid just going absolutely bonkers. Then you get to the night game, Dallas Cowboys statement win over Perloff's Philadelphia Eagles. And those are...
Here we go!
Two of the big things that happened yesterday, but that's not all that happened yesterday. So every Monday at this time, we like to run something we call the Hurry Up Offense, which is 30 seconds on every game from Sunday. All right, EJ, hit us off.
Okay, let's get started in Atlanta, where the Buccaneers took first place of the NFC South with a late TD pass from Baker Mayfield, beating the Falcons 29-25.
Yeah, it's a three-way tie in the AFC South, and nobody wants to win this division, it feels like, between New Orleans, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay, all with those 6 and 7 records. It's going to be a classic AFC South finish here where someone's hosting a playoff game with a losing record.
It is unbelievable. The 4 quarterbacks in the NFC South none of them are going to be there next year. Maybe Bryce Young, whatever. We'll get to that game later. But somebody had to win that game. I had trouble watching that game. I'm sure you're the same way.
Well, until the wild fourth quarter, They scored 25 total points in the fourth quarter alone. Ooh, I like that. We're not doing the horn this week.
Well, the complaints about the horn, so I wanted to upgrade us. So now we have a bell. Okay.
Fantastic.
So let's go to Chicago, where the Bears shut out the Lions in the second half in a 28-13 win. Impressive performance from Justin Fields.
Yeah, Justin Fields is putting the Bears in an interesting position. They'll probably have the number 1 overall pick with Caleb Williams sitting there. He's definitely playing better, and they're 5-8. They actually have an outside chance of making the playoffs. But as far as yesterday's game, we can't be surprised. Jared Goff outside in December. I mean, come on.
He did nothing to quell those the reputation that he can't play in cold weather. 2 interceptions and a fumble. Nothing is going right now for Detroit. They've lost 2 of 3. Meanwhile, Chicago back-to-back wins and have won 3 of 4. It's like 2 teams going in different directions here.
Yeah, a lot of hype. It could put Chicago in a weird limbo where they don't know what to do in the offseason. I can't wait.
All right, let's head over to Cincinnati, where Jake Browning threw 2 touchdown passes and 275 yards in the Bengals' 34-14 win over the Colts.
How about that? Second win in 6 days for Jake Browning. Even though he had cramps in his thumb, he was awesome. And the Bengals are alive in the playoffs. And Browning looks good.
Can we talk about the other side of the ball?
Yes.
The Colts were starting to get some publicity. Everyone looked at their schedule and saying this is a real team. I don't know who the Bengals beat yesterday because I saw the Colts that we kind of expected early in the season after Anthony Richardson got hurt. That could be a very bad team.
They were outscored 20-0 after halftime. Their second half went punt, interception, turnover on downs. The game's over. That's not good.
Not good at all. Let's head to Cleveland, where Joe Flacco threw 3 touchdown passes in the Bengals' 31-27 win over the Jaguars.
It's going to sound mean, but the Browns technically won. I think the Jaguars lost this game. Trevor Lawrence, 3 interceptions. There was a key fumble. They just could not get going for a long time. Maybe a function of Trevor Lawrence injured. He didn't really feel comfortable with his high ankle sprain. I mean, the Browns defense is awesome. That's not the kind of team you want to play with an injury. But Jacksonville blew a key opportunity to get a win here to me.
I can't believe Lawrence played in this game. And
me
he
too.
looked fine at times and not at other times. I mean, this was just mind-boggling to me. But how about Joe Flacco getting more appreciation and attention, I think, right now, what he did with the Browns and being named the starter for the rest of the season than he ever did before?
Jacksonville's defense is not good either.
Vulnerable, yep.
Let's head to New Orleans, where the Saints had a punt block for a TD in their 28-6 win over the Panthers.
Are we going to ever talk about Derek Carr's concussions? Are we just going to let that sort of go? All right, I guess we're letting it go. He was not good. 18 for 26, 119 yards with the 2 touchdowns and the interception. But the story of this, Perloff, was Bryce Young. New coach, doesn't matter. He looks totally lost out there.
I mean, thank God they traded that first-round pick, because if they had the number 1 pick next year, Bryce Young would be gone already. He's very small. We know that. But he's missing wide-open guys. I find it frustrating. It's one of the most surprising letdowns I've ever seen, because I was a big Bryce Young fan. We knew he was going to be injury-prone, but he just can't play quarterback right now.
They were 1 for 7 on 4th down. It's like, holy moly.
Rough performance in New Orleans for Carolina. Okay, the Jets scored 30 points all in the second half in their 30-6 win over the Texans. Zach Wilson, 301 yards on the day.
I don't want an Eagles Super Bowl. I don't want good presents for Christmas or anything. I want Zach Wilson to be awesome the rest of the way, just to see how incredibly hypocritical the entire New York media is, who went on these rants about how Zach Wilson is destroying us. If Zach Wilson is good, are they all going to double back and say, yep, told you so? I mean, the hypocrisy in this town is disgusting.
Listen, to me, no offense to the Jets, the bigger story here is C.J. Stroud. I mean, the Texans, this is one of the feel-good stories of the NFL and how good Stroud is. Now he's got a concussion. Not only that, Nico Collins was hurt in this game, so you already lost Tank Dell. Now you lost Collins. I hope this isn't a turning point here for Stroud.
What if it's a turning point for Zach Wilson and he gets an NFL career after this game?
He might.
I hope he does for his sake. Okay, let's get to Baltimore, where the Ravens had a walk-off win. Tylan Wallace, 76-yard punt return to beat the Rams, 37-31.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, what a great game. Everything about this was so competitive. You saw Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua just excelling for the Rams to keep them in against, I think, a much better Baltimore team. Lamar Jackson, key drive at the end of regulation. I couldn't ask for anything more. This was one of the more entertaining games of the season.
It was. I was surprised that bad weather, that the Rams were able to move the ball and put up those kind of points on this Ravens defense. That was a little surprising, but you're right. I mean, Lamar, listen, we should be talking about him for MVP a lot more than we are. It's just the bar is high for him.
Yep.
In a game that my brother called the toilet bowl when he texted me yesterday, the Vikings beat the Raiders 3-0 in Las Vegas.
Again, how Devontae Adams has not asked for a trade is completely beyond me here. I was rooting for a 0-0 tie. I think you're not American if you weren't rooting for a 0-0 tie. And does anyone feel like it was a little sad when Josh Dobbs got benched yesterday?
Yeah, I don't like this Josh Dobbs getting benched thing. I like Nick Mullins. He's another guy another backup quarterback I consider a buddy. No, I've met him a few times.
Yeah.
But Josh Dobbs, that was such a feel-good story. I mean, he was bad. He wasn't. Was he that bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. I mean, nobody could get the ball over midfield. It was a complete slog. What's next?
I feel bad for the Pastronaut. Let's get to San Francisco, where the Niners kept a good time rolling. They beat the Seahawks 28-16. The game kind of ended in a little bit of a fight. Fred Warner and DK Metcalf getting into it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Niners won that battle because DK was getting owned and kind of tried to get in the face. It was a loser mentality. I love DK Metcalf. Interestingly to me, the Niners have these three guys who are MVP forces who are going to knock each other out of the – well, two guys, McCaffrey and Purdy are playing like MVPs. They're going to knock each other off. And then Deebo Samuel is probably the most valuable player as well.
We talked about this with Seattle. Now losers of 4 in a row. I mean, things are really coming off the rails here, and they've got a tough game against your Philadelphia Eagles next week.
Game.
And obviously Philly coming off of this loss in Dallas. They're going to be super motivated, I think. Fill in the blank. The Seahawks missed the playoffs.
Yeah. ... Might be time to start over.
Might be in for Pete Carroll. Let's get to KC, the game we've been talking about plenty. But I want to show love to Maggie's Bills. They won this game 20-17. A big win after a very tumultuous week in Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, let's keep it under the radar, Just another win. Keep their hopes alive in the playoffs. It's going to be a really tough road for Buffalo, but this was a gritty one for them because the offense was really stalling in the second half. It was just Josh Allen hero show.
Yeah, why is this, EJ, why are you sticking up for Bills? They need love here? Come on.
We're talking all about the Chiefs and the refs. And
I thought you were a Jets fan. You shouldn't hate the Bills. You shouldn't hate the Chiefs.
I don't like the Bills, but I'm saying we've been only talking about the Chiefs and how they lost the game. Someone actually won the game.
Chiefs, wah, Chiefs.
I felt like the Bills had an edge because of desperation there. I know that's not a thing.
Not in the second half.
There was a narrative where everyone said, well, I kind of like the Bills here because they have to win, and they're playing like they have to win. And I mean that as a credit. I know they didn't move the ball.
Let's get to our last 4 o'clock game of the slate. The Broncos beat the Chargers 24-7. The big story in this one, Justin Herbert going out with a fractured finger, could be done for the year.
Yeah.
Wow. Or you could say the big story is that
Denver's now a game behind. Just one game back of the Chiefs in the AFC West.
But the thing is that they didn't move the ball consistently at all. So you look at their offense, it was basically one lucky bomb to Cortland Sutton that he caught with one hand. The Broncos are doing it in a very low-octane kind of way.
You're right, but they started the season 1-5, and now they're solidly in the hunt. I mean, as for the Chargers, 0 for 12 on third down.
Who cares? There's nothing to say about the Chargers. It's going to be a new coach, probably a mostly new roster next year.
And let's get to the Sunday night game. Cowboys, Eagles, NFC showdown. Division on the line. Cowboys roll 33-13.
Statement win for the Dallas Cowboys because they needed to beat a good team. They've been killing bad teams. They needed to beat a good team, and guess what? They killed a good team. Cowboys should be feeling good about themselves. Don't let people like Perloff steal your joy, Cowboys fans.
I think the Cowboys are a good enough team where they should treat this like a regular season game and move on to the next one and say, let's go to the playoffs. They're a really good team. I think it's almost downplaying them to say they should celebrate this game because they have everything. They're a bit singularly dimensional. What's the opposite of multidimensional?
Vanilla?
Predictable.
Yeah, honestly, I think of Bill Belichick. If I was playing the Cowboys, I would take out CeeDee Lamb. The Eagles like to cover him with a JV cornerback for some reason.
No, that's just your secondary.
Yeah, I think that CeeDee Lamb is amazing, and then a little Jake Ferguson. I just don't know if that's enough weapons against the Niners. That's all I'm saying, Maggie. Take your flowers. It's a great win. Let's see.
Listen, the Cowboys get so over-scrutinized at times. I think it's okay for them. First of all, they're the ones who are calling this a big game. They were the ones who were saying we need to do it on a big stage.
Right, they're the ones with the loser energy who can't get it done in the playoffs.
But I think it's okay with when you do it, you prove something to yourself. You already had like your total rock bottom of the season, of the regular season, when you got wiped out by the San Francisco 49ers. To show growth is not a bad thing.
I'll play Dak Prescott. Ask me a question, and what does this win mean?
Dak, what does this win mean?
It means nothing. It was a regular season game. We beat a divisional opponent. We're happy about that, but we are focused on a much bigger goal.
Okay,
we're not the NBA with the in-season tournament. We're about winning a Lombardi trophy.
Let's hear what Dak actually had to say. He said the Cowboys needed this win.
We needed it. Let's not sugarcoat that. We needed that. Obviously, I've talked about it before. Mike talks about grabbing a huge chunk of confidence and moving forward, and being able to do that against a team like that here at home, place that we've had a lot of success at over the last 2 years, puts us in front of the division, right? Does? Tied?
Whatever. Details. Top of the division for now, but everybody in the NFC, the top three teams, 10-3 record, San Francisco, Dallas, and Philly. Meanwhile, San Francisco clearly holds tiebreakers over both those teams. And, we glossed over it a little bit. We only gave it 30 seconds. But for the Detroit Lions, who now are at 9-4, you have Minnesota sitting there at 7-6, but obviously, they needed a miracle field goal to win that game yesterday. You're not, feeling that confident. Detroit was a real feel-good story, and it seems like the air has just come out of the balloon.
Yeah, Jared Goff, not great outside. Listen, there are some... Jahmyr Gibbs is outstanding. Their rookie running back. Jahmyr Gibbs, is outstanding. But I do think Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of hit a wall. He dropped a couple passes yesterday.
Nothing was going right with him.
I don't think... Honestly, I think it's been about a month now where people have said the big three in the NFC. I feel like everyone was saying it was Dallas, Philly, San Francisco. For some reason, I don't think it's just yesterday's loss. I think we put Detroit to the side.
Well, it's also because they've lost, 2 of their last 3.
But even in their wins, some of their wins were kind of...
Well, the defense...
They came back against the Bears. They beat some bad teams pretty narrowly.
No, the defense has not been good, but there was a thought that they would get the number 1 seed. Almost like Jacksonville would, just because the division was not as good. And now here you're seeing the Green Bay Packers. We're going to watch them tonight on Monday Night Football. They're a 6.5-point favorite on the road. Here come the Packers.
Well, the Lions
here come the Bears. The Bears are so far out of it.
Lions are 9-4. They still could technically get the number 1 seed because I think if the Niners lose to the Ravens, then you're going to have possibly a 4-loss team. Listen, Lions fans, all is not lost. You're making the playoffs. You're fine. But this idea of them being contender kind of looks like, oh, boy, I think we might have overrated them.
So they have 2 games left with Minnesota, who's
that's good.
Top wildcard team.
Oh, wait.
In the NFC right now.
No, I thought you meant that as a positive thing.
Well, yeah, but, Minnesota's right there.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. They're probably going to go with Mullins, I would imagine.
Yeah, this is good. Minnesota just played a 3-0 game.
That was just that was a silly game. Really silly. George has been on the line. He's calling from L.A. with a thought on very plucky Rams. Hey, George.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Yeah, if they were playing anybody but Lamar Jackson, I think they win that game. Aaron Donald at one point was holding on to Lamar Jackson. Somehow he's able to throw that pass. Unbelievable talent. But, that backup tight end, that's why he's a backup. On that drive, the last drive of the Rams on 3rd and 4, he was wide open. I'm not complaining, but he should have caught the ball. But this Ram team, there are 6 lead changes in this game. And if they keep playing like this, I'm not saying they'll make the playoffs, but if they keep playing like this, they can be a very dangerous team. And thanks a lot, guys.
Actually, George, I thought of you on Sunday, and as an Eagles fan, I was like, oh, thank God we're not going to have to play this Rams team in the play. I was glad the Rams lost. They're really good. They went toe-to-toe in Baltimore in the rain, so they'll probably fall just short of the playoffs, and hopefully the Eagles get a NFC South or Minnesota, because the Rams are good.
Well, it's the team no one wants to play.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Rams blaming late game issues on the communication in the helmet where Matthew Stafford could not hear the play. There are some W's on the schedule for the Rams. Washington, the Saints, at the New York Giants, and then they finish the season at San Francisco, but San Francisco might not need this game.
Oh, that's unlikely. I mean, San Francisco's probably not going to have a 2-game edge on Dallas, because Dallas and San Francisco might go in with this. That seems unlikely. But okay. Yeah, all right, now I have to be worried about the Rams. Thanks, Maggie. I was really relaxed.
If you don't win the division, then you won't have to worry about them. You get
if they win the division, the Eagles would get the Rams.
No, I'm saying if you don't win the division, you won't have to worry about the Rams, because you'll end up getting probably the Bucks or the Falcons.
I'm very well aware. I've played this out all night long. I want the Eagles to get the 2, then have to play the Lions in the second round. I want the Cowboys to get the 4 and the 5 and have to play the Niners in the second round. The Cowboys and the Niners beat each other up so bad, somehow the Eagles get through and have a wounded team to play in the NFC title game.
So essentially you're saying what happened last year?
Basically. Yeah. No, because the Niners came into that game in Philadelphia fairly healthy. I mean, McCaffrey was hurt. Again, that's not a surprise. That could happen.
855-212-4CBS. All right, Perloff has to leave to go to jury duty.
I know. Ugh.
Are we sure he's telling the truth about this?
I'm skeptical, especially now when I see him coming in with black eyes and bleeding.
Like maybe he's making it up.
Maybe he has a second life.
Anything's on the table right now. So have fun at jury duty, quote unquote.
Who leads a second life at 9:15 a.m. Eastern time?
Honestly,
I watched Daredevil. Okay, I saw Matt Murdock going from court, quote unquote, to then beating up, Wilson Fisk.
Honestly,
I'm not going to put it past you.
That's exactly what someone would say if they were leading a double life.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would explain the black eye. No, Matt Murdock's the coolest. I have eyesight, and I cannot beat up anybody. So trust me, I am not out there being a superhero.
855-212-4CBS. Okay, we continue. We've got headlines coming up. Also, we get to your phone calls on the Kansas City Chiefs and their reaction yesterday afternoon. Mahomes having to be physically restrained from going after the referees. Was he in the right or was he in the wrong? We'll get to that. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Tonight's Monday Night Football preview is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And you got a doubleheader on tap tonight. You got Miami going up against the Tennessee Titans. I also have an offering for you. How about the Packers at the New York Giants? Manny's excited.
Tommy Cutlets, baby.
Okay. This guy will go to the opening of an envelope, by the way. He's been at every bar in the tri-state area selling his soul/merchandise.
Got to strike when the iron's hot.
Yeah, 15 minutes of fame. Andrew Bogish is here. We just found out Bogish getting schnockered at the holiday party over the weekend. What happened?
It's like it didn't happen. I wasn't even there.
Was this like a New Year's Eve where you're asleep by 10 p.m.?
I think I was awake at 10 still. But
You were told?
It was at our house, and we spent the whole afternoon like getting ready, running around. Didn't eat enough. It was it was my first beer. Empty stomach, had 2 beers, 2 vodka cocktails, and then somebody handed me a tequila shot in like 70 minutes. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm probably going to go lay down now. And that was at 10:30, 10:45 in my bed, fully clothed. Woke up 2 different times briefly, people just screaming at me. I think there are pictures of people hovering over me in my bed.
You're like there's nothing written on your face.
100%. Maybe that's where my wife stopped them from messing with me. So I'm just slowly learning what might have been done while I was passed out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was not a good scene, and very unlike me. Don't look at me, please. Please don't.
I'm going to be honest. A couple amateur moves you made there. First,
more than one.
No eating.
Yeah, bad idea.
That's something, especially as a woman. Like a lot of times, you won't eat before you go out, and then you learn when you're like 35 that you got to start to eat.
40.
45 that you got to eat something before you go out, and then you've never heard beer before liquor makes you sicker, liquor before beer, you're in the clear?
I in fact, said that to myself in the afternoon. I was like looking at all of the options that we had to drink, and it was a bad scene.
Wow.
So what was the morning after like?
So I mean, I was okay for the most part.
But you got a lot of sleep.
I got a lot of sleep. Moving was the issue. Like, I was fine sitting still. But if I moved, like, half my body, like the inside of me didn't fit with the rest of the outside part. So it was like an extra, like, 10 seconds of, like, everything settling back together.
So you were like the Matrix, basically. You were like Neo, just, like, moving in, like, kind of slow motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we have audio of that, actually.
I'm sure you do.
Ow!
Ow! Ow! Well, our own Andrew Kaplan said he's pretty sure you could have had a full stomach and still gotten drunk off of all that.
Probably true.
He might be right, but then it would come up.
My question is...
Yeah, which didn't happen.
My question is, we've talked, at least Perloff has, a bunch about Bogusch being the mean one of this group.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is Bogusch a mean drunk or a friendly drunk? I feel like you'd be more friendly since normally, I guess, you're getting this mean label on this show.
Yeah, since I'm... In my defense, I don't think I'm really that mean. I think I'm still a nice person. Like I remember everything that happened until my decision to go lay down, and I wasn't mean to anybody. I remember laughing, having a good time.
You had full clothes on when you passed out.
Yeah.
And shoes?
No, because it was in my house, so I think I had socks on only. I was not wearing shoes.
That's always the biggest indignities. And you pass out, and it's like, couldn't even get your shoes off?
Yeah.
Like, no.
But the real victim here, the real person that gets the blame is my wife. I like her a lot. She's very cool, but she's the partier of our dynamic and always has been. So she likes to point out that she can count on like one hand the times that she's seen me really messed up.
Yeah.
So, like, every time we have a new friend, she, like, dares someone to get me drunk. So we had new friends, and this is the guy that gave me the tequila shot that was the clincher. And it's because she was like, he never gets drunk. You should. And then there I was. So, like, we need to move off of this. We're plus 40.
They call
Leave
that
me alone.
The Widowmaker. You could always just say no.
Yeah, well, you can't turn a shot down from a guest at your party. It was too early, and I didn't feel bad before the shot.
It's not like you're driving.
Right, I'm not going anywhere.
And it said it was a new friend, too, right?
Yeah, so I wasn't going to be a jerk and say no, and I didn't think I was that deep into the woods. But then we were.
Then it was 6 a.m. You were like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Remember when we went to go party with the Bogushes? Yeah, that Andrew kid. He's a lightweight.
I was going to say this is not the way to win friends and influence people. Is to get totally crap.
There was definitely some shame yesterday.
Going back through your text messages, like, oh no, no.
So I did text our group pre-drinking.
I was going to say that it would have actually like explained a lot if you were hammered.
No. I was in party mood at that point, but that was pre anything going into my body. While I was drinking, I did text our WFAN friends who were at the Islander game in a suite, and I live 15 minutes from their new arena.
Yeah.
So I was like, you guys should come here. Thank God they didn't, because I would have been asleep and strangers would have been knocking on my door, all in Islander jerseys, and my wife would have to turn them away.
And guess what? I know those WFAN New York City hosts. I feel like
they'd still be at my house.
They would still be there. Yes. It would have been it was quite the show.
Well, Spencer Seek's asking, was it a swinger party? And
it might have been after I went to sleep. I don't know.
Or maybe while you were...
That was a question with our text, because I was talking to Maggie and Perloff last night for the show, and they didn't understand the text, and I had to explain it to them.
What didn't you understand? I'll read the text. I don't care.
I understood it, I thought, but it was kind of implying that your party was going to be a swinger party.
Well, I mean, it's not, because we're generally lame. It was just following up on the theme of the show, because the first people that came brought things from Colorado that Pete's afraid of.
Oh, that was real?
Yeah. So,
by the way, that will put you out, too.
Though that was the only, that normally is the exclamation point on a night, and I never got there.
Oh, bogus.
Yeah. It was a bad scene. So
brutal.
And on top of everything else, everybody brought things. So I still have a fridge full of beer, which I wanted it to be empty, and everything that we bought was restocked. So we have to have like another party to get rid of our supplies.
We're available.
Maggie and Perloff party.
So was the hangover so bad you swore off drinking? Everyone's has that hangover. You're just like, I'm never drinking again. And then next week rolls around.
The problem is New Year's Eve is looming with probably all of the same people. So I'm going to walk into
You're
a lot of...
host New Year's Eve?
No. Somebody else is. But that's going to be a night of mocking me like for the Christmas party.
You're not making it till 9:45.
I mean, that's hard for me to begin with. I'm so tired.
You have headlines for us,
Sure,
yes?
right. Headlines. Where are they? What time is it? 9:30. Here you go. While the Chiefs were complaining, the Bills celebrating a near must-win 2017 at Arrowhead yesterday. Josh Allen's club now part of a large AFC group at 7-6.
We've been kind of approaching this as this is the playoffs for us. Every game from here on out is that important, and we gotta keep going. Again, we'll celebrate this one tonight.
The Bills, though, 11th in the conference at the moment, the last of those 7-6 teams. They wasted a 14-0 lead yesterday before improving to just 3-6 in games decided by 6 points or less this season. The Chiefs begging for help after Kadarius Toney was called for offsides, negating the potential game-winning touchdown. As you all know by now, KC now 8-5, only a game better than the Broncos in the AFC West. Denver taking care of the Chargers 24-7. Am I still drunk? Justin Herbert, a broken right index finger after that one. Now, I owe the Cowboys an apology. It did not make sense back in the summer when they signed a college soccer player to kick for them when they were proven vets on the market. But Brandon Aubrey still hasn't missed a field goal.
Aubrey nearing the end of the first quarter from 60 on the left hash. Long kick, plenty of leg. What a great call by Mike McCarthy. Just as everyone said he should do, he sends in Aubrey for a 60-yard field goal, and Dallas leads 10-0.
Brad Sham, Cowboys Radio. Aubrey 4 for 4 on Sunday Night Football. Now 30 for 30 field goals on the season. He also hit from 59 last night. As Maggie already mentioned, he's the first kicker ever with 2 makes of 59 or longer in the same game. The Cowboys also scored 3 touchdowns in the 33-13 beating of the Eagles. I need a drink.
It's
Dallas
setting in. You need hair of the dog.
Leads the NFC East this morning because of one more division win than the Birds.
Can we get Bogusch a Bloody Mary or something?
No thanks. And there's no
How about a
circumstance that
Bloody
calls for that.
Maria and then have a little more tequila in
Okay, fine.
your life?
Or like a screwdriver mimosa. I'll take one of those.
Knowing you'll take one of each. That's your problem.
Yeah, he will not be here tomorrow.
Joe Flacco came in off the street and resumed carving up NFL defenses. 311 yards, 3 scores, and a 31-27 Browns victory over the struggling Jaguars. And then Kevin Stefanski named Flacco his starter for the rest of the season.
I think you expect him to get better as he gets more comfortable in our system with our players, those type of things. But we just talked about him and all of our guys doing their job, giving us their best, and I thought that's what he did.
The Browns and Jaguars 8-5 like the Chiefs. Bronny James debuted for USC yesterday in an 84-79 OT loss to Long Beach State. He had 4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals in 17 minutes, roughly 5 months after going into cardiac arrest during practice. USC football hiring North Dakota State head coach Matt Entz as linebackers coach. Entz led the Bison to 2 FCS titles and was part of 4 others as defensive coordinator. And the Rangers down the Kings 4-1, LA with back-to-back road losses after winning a record 11 in a row away from home to start the season. Maggie, please take it back.
Andrew Bogusch, thank you. Jimmy is calling from Indianapolis, wants to defend you and your holiday party mishap.
Jimmy.
Hey, Jimmy, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. How do you want to defend Bogusch?
Okay, so you guys talked about like a few of the mistakes he made.
Yeah.
I want to preemptively defend him from the Weebos in chat. The most adult thing you did and like the, Hall of Famer thing you did was knowing when to call it quits and laying down. And for all the people in chat that are going to be calling you a rookie and saying like they can drink this much and they can drink that much, I want to let them know that we're all here for them and we love them. And there's some get-togethers around town where you can, stand up in front of everybody and say, hi, my name is blank, and I'm an alcoholic, and, tell them your story. Because what he did was the adult thing. Maybe beer before liquor, all that stuff. But if you're old enough to where you need to remind yourself of that, maybe slow it down a bit and take a nap when you need to, like he did. So I think he did the right thing. He had a wife who could look out for him. Maybe a cooler wife would have drawn the mustache on his face. But I think he did the right thing.
Jimmy, thank you. And yes, this is a once in a while thing for Bogusch. I don't think there's anything real serious here.
No, I think I'm okay.
We would not take that lightly.
Yeah.
But yes, knowing when to call it quits is a sign of maturity.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is you really didn't know.
No,
I should have called it quits before the tequila shot, and maybe you would have made it to the end of your own party.
Sure, 6 of one, half dozen of another. But I also could have tried to function when walking a couple of steps was getting a little dicey. And I did. The worst thing would have been falling asleep at the party, on the couch, in a chair. You can't do that. No. So at least I got myself into my own room.
You had the home field advantage. I mean, it's literally your house.
Yeah.
You could have locked the door, too, if you really...
No, because then how my wife would have gotten in at one point.
Well,
later on.
Listen, every man for themselves.
How long did the party go after you were passed out? Did you figure that out? How much did you miss?
I missed a good 2 hours, and then people went out from my house to a local thing.
Wow.
So I don't even know. One person, the guy that gave me the tequila shot, I texted yesterday in the afternoon and still have not heard back from him. So there's no telling where he is.
Well, I went to a party last week. I told you guys about it. And they had not only a huge water station, like a hydration station set up, also liquid IV. So maybe something for next year.
No, that already exists in my house. Another dropped pass by me.
Oh, man. You had it there and you didn't use it.
Yeah.
It's like a Chiefs wide receiver.
Call me Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
Manny, 855-212-4CBS. Bogusch, thank you so much. You're going to sit in and hang because Perloff has air quotes jury duty.
You know
what? I think
what?
he's pulling one over on us.
We've got the staff here to send somebody on his heels to track him, see where he actually goes after this.
Yeah, I mean, do you think he's really going to a courthouse in Brooklyn?
Not every day.
Unlikely story.
No way.
Now, to his credit, he's still waking up and doing the first 3 hours and 20 minutes of the show, so it'd be a hell of a ruse.
The fact that he's now committed, when we talked about this before, he's like, oh, yeah, maybe I'll be in, maybe I'm not. Then you come in today with a black eye, and you're like, actually, I'm gone for 3 weeks.
Yeah, right. He said he's got jury duty for a month, and he did have a black eye because he said he got it during a pickup basketball game. I mean, I've seen some of the guys he plays pickup basketball against. These guys are not tough guys.
Now, wait, are you suggesting this is 25th hour where he's getting himself beat up before going into jail to look tough? And he's just coming here. He's actually coming here on work release and then going back
yes,
to
he's
prison?
Intimidating the judge, trying to let him out. If this happened to me, what could happen to you?
Maybe it's a Fight Club situation.
Well, can't talk about it.
Right. He would never be able to talk about it.
I mean, Perloff, a little bit of an anarchist, let's be honest. Nothing ever matters.
Nothing matters. Excuses for everything.
Could be a Fight Club thing. Now, that would be something.
I mean,
Perloff is Tyler Durden. Would not have seen that one coming.
They're making accommodations for him, he says. We can come and go as he pleases. Maybe I get there at 10, 10:15. Doesn't matter. What court runs like that?
Well,
that's fair.
Maybe one in New York. 855-212-4CBS.
Moving on.
855-212. That's the most believable part of the whole story, is that it's chaos down there. Okay, lots more to do, including, yes, the one biggest story from the weekend. Lots of football, Heisman, all that stuff. But the biggest story of the weekend, we have that for you next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff has gone to jury duty? Allegedly. Came in with a black eye today. Now he's got jury duty for a month. That's like the most that's happened to Perloff in like 6 years. All happened in the same weekend? Something doesn't add up. Now, where he could be, I have no idea. I have no idea where he'd be going. That's the part of this thing. That's the puzzle piece that doesn't fit. So Andrew Bogusch is here to hang out. And, obviously the big story coming out of the weekend, two of them. One, the Dallas Cowboys take care of Perloff's Eagles, and they have their signature win now on the season. So kudos to them. And for people who say it doesn't feel different because, the Cowboys always win a lot of games in the regular season, I beg to differ. I think that Dak, his change started from the feet up. They start with the footwork. Everything has changed. They might still be a receiver short to be a Super Bowl winner, but man, this thing looks different and the confidence is an all-time high. And then the second big story that came out was the Kadarius Toney offsides. It led to negating a massive touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs. They lose, and Mahomes goes nuts. never seen him like that, Bogish. It looked like he was on the verge of crying. I thought he was going to cry. And I bet 30 million people were watching that game yesterday.
But before that, I thought he was going to strangle somebody. That first shot that we got where it was like 3 teammates keeping him back. Like, wasn't, at least to me, I didn't know who he was specifically angry at. Was it Tony? Was it a play calling thing? Because I didn't see, you could only see the ref or the official very like at the edge of the shot. But yeah, I mean, and the crazy thing is you mentioned they should have been that angry after Lambeau, after the Packer game. Because the pass interference call that wasn't made in that game.
It was also agreed.
There's no defending that. Like, that's a straight mistake. Like, that's the one that you should be angry at. The thing last night, it's frustrating, but Tony was wrong.
Yes.
And all he's going to do is pay attention and nothing, and there's no flag. And then we're talking about one of the greatest game-winning plays probably of all time.
It would have been an all-time touchdown. It would have beaten the Bills and ultimately would have basically ended the season for the Bills.
Yeah.
It's already going to be almost impossible for them to make the playoffs with all the way things are shaking out. But at least they're like there's a flicker of hope. That would have extinguished the flicker of hope. And it's massive, but the Chiefs only have themselves to blame, and they only have themselves to blame that it seems like wide receivers now have been letting them down all season long. You can't blame the defense anymore on Kansas City. This is not your older brother's Chiefs. The defense is doing their part and more. It's now on the offense, which is wild to say about the Kansas City Chiefs. The biggest story of the weekend was Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani signs with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, it may have been the most predictable outcome. You know, the Toronto Blue Jays rumor was fun on Friday, but ultimately, you know, the Dodgers, the appeal of staying in Los Angeles and on the West Coast, I'm sure was massive for Ohtani. This is so much money. Now, it's not as much as the owners are making, so don't get me wrong. Ohtani should take every dollar. But he's never going to be able to live up to this contract. And so in some ways, it's going to be a failure, even if he wins a World Series, Bogish. Because he wins a World Series, they're going to wonder, why didn't you win 5 World Series with the amount of money you're getting paid?
So, I mean, the Dodgers live in that world now with how come we've only won the one in a bubble.
And that was
right. So they already live in that world. So I understand that it would be easy for that conversation to continue if they only win one, but winning one is hard. So, like, if he wins one and he's the star of it, and then everything, you know, the next 6 or 7 years are still magical Ohtani years, and things happen where they don't win another World Series. But winning one to me starts the good enough conversation.
I don't know. I mean, you have a guy who's not even going to pitch next year, nor should he if he's coming off of Tommy John. It's not about that, but you have somebody who has shown right now that, yes, when they are fully healthy and at their peak, they're unbelievable. But has he shown you that his body can hold up with this kind of schedule? No. And so you just made a massive investment. And don't get me wrong, I would have done it too if I had the money, and I was hoping my team would do it. But it's like, how can you be so sure that he's going to be able to physically hold up? This is his second Tommy John. And then if he's not a pitcher,
we think they won't tell us what he actually had done.
Right. If he's not pitching and hitting, then why are you paying $700 million? The going rate for a great hitter right now is between $300 and $400 million. If he can't pitch and if he can't do both consistently, what did you pay for?
Yeah, but it's just you're in a spot where you can't not sign him. If you're the guy that he wants to say yes to, you can't not do it. You can't walk away as frugal or as it might be, or as afraid as you might be that his arm's going to fall off. If he wants to be on your team, you got to make it happen.
Well, they are deferring a lot of the payments, so the fine print is $7 million for 100 years.
You know what? I saw a joke that the A's offered him $1 for $700. that may end up being what it is with all this stuff. Because they're going to pay him almost nothing now, apparently.
Yeah, he's helping them be able to sign more players. Manny, let's get to our shot of the day, please.
He shoots!
The shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. Today's shot of the day, we're taking a shot at Perloff, and he's not here to defend himself. Somehow he got so wrapped up in the Eagles losing to the Cowboys, he forgot who the center is on the Eagles.
Hurts played fine. You can rip anyone you want. That was not on Jalen Hurts. And also the center was snapping it all over the place. And I know there are a lot of Hurts haters out there, and I will answer all of them.
Wait, don't you love Jason Kelce? Now he's the center?
Yeah, I just heard him. Yeah,
Well,
he
what's
just
that
ripped
about?
Jason Kelce.
Yeah.
The center.
The center now.
The center? Now he's the center?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
When he was the- when he
I
was
forgot
the
it was-
future Hall of
when he
Famer.
I forgot it was
Cowboys,
Kelce.
now he's the
sexiest
center.
man alive finalist.
There was actually, you're right, it was Kelce. I forgot about that. I do love me some Kelce.
Oof. Do we have concussion protocols at Odyssey?
Yeah, I know. Honestly, Perloff may have gotten concussed with this mysterious black eye. However, it's just really funny to me that basically, does anyone know any center? Unless it's your team. You know your center if you're a fan. But centers aren't widely known around the league.
I don't know
It's
the
not like
Giants
left
center.
John Michael Schmidt.
Is it Bart Oates?
Because he's
No?
a rookie for me.
Yeah, you got Joe Tippmann. I know that.
Linderbaum?
No, Linderbaum, because he's
Yeah,
really
Linderbaum.
good. And he had a rough
Oh, he had
day
a bad
also.
one yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, I can give you Creed Humphrey from the Chiefs because that's a great
I was
name.
reminded of him yesterday because they said his name on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Let's go to Nadal. He's in Dallas. Hey, Nadal, how are you?
How are you? Good morning. Congrats on your win.
Appreciate you. I did a lot yesterday.
Yeah. Hey, what a big mess, huh?
Yeah.
So my takeaways. Number one, yes, the Chiefs Kingdom is up in arms. I can tell you.
I know. They look like
that
whiners.
call.
They sound like whiners.
And I agree. They are being whiners. We are being whiners. And let me tell you, it's not so much really. I don't think it's so much the Tony call, but I think it was the very next call or the next play. Von Miller
jumped off sides. He definitely did.
Was offside and
you're
was not called.
He left early. I said it right when it happened. I think that was on the 2nd and 15 or the 3rd and 15. But he jumped.
I think it was the third. Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that's what really is the root of the anger. But I'm a realist Chiefs fan since 1984 when Bill Kenny was quarterback. Okay. I'm going to tell you this. We, as Chiefs fans, have got to start believing that Mahomes is not above criticism. I'm sorry. He is not the same this year. Can we agree on this?
See, it's funny, though, and Nadal, it's big of you as a Chiefs fan to say that, and we're up against it. I'm so sorry. We're just up against the end of the show here, but thank you. I'm going to be honest. I still don't think it's Mahomes who's the problem. I don't think he really does deserve the criticism. I think he acted like a bad loser yesterday, but ultimately that's forgivable. But I think it's the rest of the wide receiver core that really has let him down. I still don't think Mahomes deserves criticism. That's it. Show's over.
That's it.
Jury duty for everybody.
Jury duty on.
Lucky us. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez. Thank you to Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos and Coffee Drinkers. You guys were on one today in the best way possible. Callers as well. Everyone making great points. Loved it. See you tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.